Chapter 245. Boom. In the next instant, 6 pairs of pitch-black, illusory wings appeared behind Wang Feng's back. Wang Feng's hair started to grow rapidly, and his eyes were filled with an evil aura. If he were to remove his mask, Wang Feng's current appearance would be extremely shocking. The outline of his face changed slightly. It was still very angular, and his facial features seemed to have been meticulously chiseled by the heavens. Every part of his face was beautiful, and even the most beautiful woman would feel ashamed of her inferiority. However, he was filled with an evil aura and gave off an extremely evil feeling. It was as if he wanted to control the most evil order in the world. His originally pale, blood-red eyes had turned a deep blood-red color. A terrifying aura was being emitted from his body in all directions. However, it wasn't as terrifying as the aura that shook the entire Great Star Do forest when he used the Pengu axe. It only affected his surroundings. At this moment, Wang Feng's body grew even larger. He held a simple, unadorned spear in his hand, and his pitch-black hair swayed in the wind, making him look even more frenzied. He looked like a demon from hell. This human-shaped martial soul is indeed an angel, and it has 12 wings? I don't remember an angel with 12 wings. In the religious myths from my previous life, there were only 6 wings at most. Wang Feng felt as if his entire body was about to explode. 2 different forces were attacking his spirit. He could feel that his physical body had become extremely strong, and his strength had increased by at least 3 times. Furthermore, Wang Feng could clearly sense several different auras coming from all directions. Wang Feng's soul power was being depleted rapidly, but he was still trying to sense his current state. 3,000 meters ahead, there are 2 soul kings fighting over soul rings. Both parties are extremely furious. 4,000 meters to the northeast, there are 2 men and 1 woman. The 2 male soul masters are raping the female soul master? Bastards! At 9 o'clock, 2 6,000-year kings of the earth are eating crazily, and their food seems to be 3 soul masters. 3,000 meters behind me, a soul master is absorbing soul rings. His partner is jealous, and seems to want to take the opportunity to attack. 2,000 meters to the left, a male soul master is wailing. He is extremely sad, because his partner is about to die. Wang Feng opened his eyes and could sense several auras in the air. They were slowly drifting over from afar. These auras were invisible, but they had color in Wang Feng's eyes. At this moment, he seemed to be able to sense all the ugly things that were happening around here. This angel seems to be completely independent from the angels of the Qianrenshui. It's filled with a cold and evil aura. Wang Feng held his breath and focused his mind, feeling the power at this moment. However, it had to be said that this humanoid martial soul was indeed powerful. Compared to each of the forms that Qing Lian had transformed into, it was not much worse. Somehow, he felt as if he could control something, but he didn't seem to have enough strength. Furthermore, Wang Feng felt that he was constantly being attacked by the evil thoughts of the humanoid martial spirit and the demonic aura of the soul-slaying spear. How lucky! Wang Fengxian thought that regardless of whether it was the god-slaying spear or the mysterious martial soul that had been drawn out, it was still a good thing. It could be said that without the tempering of the karmic fire of the Red Lotus, his soul and mind would not be able to withstand anything. Now that he thought about it, Wang Feng felt that using the Red Lotus hellfire to temper his body and soul was a wise decision. It seems like a 10,000-year soul beast has appeared? It seems like my aura has attracted the nearby soul beasts. Wang Feng's lips curled into a smile. It's time to go deeper and obtain my 4th soul ring. I don't need much. Around 40,000 years will do. Just as Wang Feng was thinking about this, somewhere in the Great Star Do forest. Your Highness, there are many soul beasts nearby. They seem to be rioting. The person who spoke was an elder. If Wang Feng were here, he would have recognized him. He was one of the 3 education committee members that he had met at the Heaven Do Imperial Academy, Dream Shinji. Your Highness, why did you come to the Great Star Do Forest to obtain your 6th soul ring? Ji Lin asked respectfully. Bai Baoshan didn't speak. He only looked at the golden-haired prince in front of him, who was wearing male clothing and a mask. This place is good. The man who was addressed as Your Highness said plainly. There are a few soul beasts in the center of the Great Star Do Forest that are very dangerous. If we meet them, we can only protect Your Highness and escape with our combined strength. Dream Shinji coughed a few times and said, in comparison, the setting sun forest is much safer. The 3 of them were the education committee members of the Heaven Do Academy. At the same time, they were also the subordinates of the Heaven Do Empire's prince, Xueqinghe. This man was naturally Xueqinghe. Then all of you can go back. I can do it alone. I'm just looking for a 10,000-year soul beast. The man's eyes narrowed. Obtaining a soul ring was only one of his reasons for coming here. His second reason was to find out why Wang Feng had come to the Great Star Do Forest. However, it was still dangerous for one person to come here alone. After the 3 education committee members heard about this, they naturally followed him. Even though they were Soul Douluo, they didn't dare to say that they could do whatever they wanted in the Great Star Do Forest. After hearing this, they naturally couldn't leave. If a 60 to 70,000 year soul beast suddenly appeared, they might not be able to handle it. His Highness would be in even more danger. Fortunately, His Highness only needed to find a 20,000-year soul beast. The 4 of them quickly flashed through the Great Star Do Forest. With the 3 soul Douluo's immense senses, they could instantly sense the soul beasts around them. Suddenly, Xueqinghe stopped in his tracks. What's wrong, Your Highness? Dream Shinji and the other 2 also stopped. Xueqinghe slowly looked in a certain direction. It was that evil aura again. Furthermore, it was incomparably clear this time. It's the 3rd time. Xueqinghe muttered, and the location this time seems to be the same as the previous time. It's in the Great Star Do Forest. It seems like it's really hidden in the Great Star Do Forest. She had felt this aura more than 7 years ago. She didn't expect it to appear again. It was such a coincidence that it happened to be in the Great Star Do Forest. Furthermore, it was even clearer than the previous 2 times. Let's go there. Xueqinghe pointed in a direction. It was the direction where Wang Feng was. She wanted to see what kind of martial soul this aura belonged to. Dream Shinji and the other 2 didn't say much. They nodded. Just as the 4 of them were about to leave, the ground suddenly shook violently. A huge soul beast that looked like a beetle burrowed out from the ground. It was huge, at least the size of 2 football fields. It was at least 6 to 7 meters tall. 2 rows of sharp teeth could be seen in its bloody mouth. Its body was covered in black scales, and it looked extremely ugly. There was even a pair of blood-red wings on its back. It was extremely eerie. As this soul beast burrowed out from the ground, 4 auras were released from its body and locked onto the 4 of them. Not good, it's a bloodwing dragon beetle. Dream Shinji's expression changed. Such a savage soul beast should be deeper in the forest. Why is it here? It should be a 60,000-year bloodwing dragon beetle. Ji Lin's face was slightly pale. Your Highness, you should retreat first. We'll block it. With the 3 of us, it's easy to block it. But if it wants to attack you, it'll be troublesome. End of chapter. Chapter 246. The blood-winged dragon beetle was an ancient soul beast. Among the soul beasts, it was an extremely ferocious existence. It would eat any living thing, even if it was its own kind. Not only that, this ferocious soul beast had the ability to fly. Its offensive and defensive abilities were extremely abnormal. Its blood even had the ability to cause people to go crazy and hallucinate. Even a soul sage would fall into a frenzied and furious state after being contaminated by its blood. Eventually, they would burn their life force and die. After death, the blood-winged dragon beetle would obtain its opponent's strength. It was evil and ferocious. It was extremely difficult to deal with. Xueqinghe frowned as he looked at the blood-winged dragon beetle. He nodded slightly and left decisively. She also wanted to go in that direction alone. What exactly was that aura? It had been more than 7 years. She could not forget the first time she felt that aura and the palpitations she felt. After Xueqinghe left, the 3 soul Douluo heaved a sigh of relief. The 3 of you, let's delay this blood-winged dragon beetle for a while. Let Her Highness leave first before we leave. Meng Xinji released his martial soul. 8 soul rings slowly lit up. Remember, don't get entangled with this beast. The other 2 naturally understood the dangers involved. Killing this soul beast was an unrealistic idea, and it was impossible for him to do so. The main reason was that the 3 of them were not assault-type soul masters. Against such a terrifying soul beast, it was still possible to control it for a while. The masked man shuttled through the forest quickly. His eyes were cold. Something's not right. The surrounding soul beasts are getting more and more violent. Could it be because of that aura? Her heart was beating slightly. This time, the aura did not disappear in an instant. It was still there. Strange. Very strange. The previous 2 times, it only appeared for a moment. Not long after, it disappeared. What kind of martial soul is it? Her thoughts were running wild. Even the surrounding soul beasts are getting violent because of it. That blood-winged dragon beetle just now. Would such a ferocious soul beast be attracted by it? Although my martial soul can restrain it, the difference in strength is too great. Not long after, she felt that the aura was getting closer and closer. At this moment, a soul beast suddenly appeared in front of her and rushed towards her. The man was shocked. She recognized this soul beast. It was a wild flame howling sky tiger. Judging from its aura and size, it should be around 20,000 years old. The man was shocked. Why is it running towards me? The wild flame sky howling tiger was also an extremely violent soul beast. Its entire body was crimson red, and its body was covered with lines of flame-like patterns. Its mouth could let out a terrifying roar that could cause the surrounding soul beasts to fall to the ground in an instant. Even a soul master above rank 60 might not be able to withstand such an attack. At least, even a soul sage, who was close to a rank 70 soul sage, might not be able to defeat a 20,000-year-old wild flame heavenly tiger. The man seemed to have a good understanding of soul beasts and was able to accurately determine the age of these soul beasts, but she didn't know exactly how old they were. Suddenly, the man was stunned. He looked at the fierce sky tiger that was running towards him from a few hundred meters away. The reason was simple: the fierce sky tiger was injured. There were long black scars on its back that were emitting wisps of mist, revealing large patches of flesh. Its hind legs were lame and the flames on its body were very weak. It was panting, but it did not make any sound. The strangest thing was that its eyes were filled with fear. What is it that can make such a violent soul beast feel fear? The man was startled, but after thinking for a moment, she did not hesitate and directly revealed her martial soul. A huge and holy power bloomed from her body, and the 6 extraordinary wings of light behind her fluttered slightly. An injured wild flame howling sky tiger. Just right, I can break through at the same time. The man whispered. It was as if she said that breaking through was very easy. 5 soul rings slowly rose from her body. Following that, her 5th purple soul ring suddenly lit up. Divine sword. The man shouted and a golden flame burned in his hand. The halo of light turned into a flaming long sword that suddenly took shape. Immediately, the man did not stop. He turned into a golden light and directly rushed towards the wild flame howling sky tiger. It seemed to have seen the man's attack. The wild flame howling sky tiger suddenly opened its mouth, which was still dripping with blood, and let out a terrifying howl. Although it was injured, the strength of this wild flame howling sky tiger was still very strong. As it roared, a red wave spread out in all directions. Everywhere it passed, all the trees and shrubs were shattered into pieces. The surrounding terrain seemed to have changed because of this roar. If a tree collapsed, the speed of an ordinary agility-type soul master would be greatly reduced. But the man elegantly dodged, and his reaction was extremely fast and agile. As the golden figure rose and fell, it was not affected by the wild flame howling heaven tiger at all. At this moment, the wild flame howling sky tiger suddenly swung its tail and directly threw a huge rock towards the man who was dodging the tree collapse. This attack was very sudden, and the man obviously could not dodge in time. "You're courting death." The man's eyes burned and the 6 pairs of wings on his back suddenly flickered. His golden eyes were even more majestic and his body became translucent. When the huge rock came, it actually passed through the man's body and did not cause any damage to him. At this moment, the wild flame howling sky tiger suddenly stopped. Yes, it suddenly stopped. It suddenly froze on the spot. A hint of surprise flashed across the man's eyes. However, taking advantage of this opportunity, his speed increased by a few notches. The long sword in his hand that was burning with golden flames became one with him. He directly drew a golden light in the air and instantly pierced through the body of the wild flame howling divine tiger. Boom! The man stood behind the wild flame howling sky tiger and waved his hand to disperse the golden sword in his hand. The wild flame howling sky tiger's huge body and black soul rings slowly rose. Strange, why did this wild flame howling sky tiger suddenly stop charging? She felt a little strange in her heart. Suddenly, she seemed to have sensed something and suddenly turned to the side and looked in that direction. A ghost-like figure was standing there. Seeing this figure, her pupils suddenly shrank. This was because this figure was surrounded by layers of dark aura. He was wearing a black robe and had a tall figure. He was wearing a mask and she could not see Rong-Ao. Only a pair of blood-red eyes that emitted an evil aura could be seen under the mask. What made her the most shocked was, behind this mysterious figure, there were 6 pairs of incomparably black light shadows that seemed to be surging with energy. The 2 figures stared at each other and for a moment, they were both stunned. The aura of the 2 people seemed to be completely opposite, repelling each other. The man who was surrounded by golden light and had 3 pairs of light shadows on his back, emitting a sacred and supreme power. On the other side, the mysterious figure who was surrounded by black fog emitted an extremely terrifying evil aura. This aura, it's him. Qian Rinxue's mind flashed like lightning. 7 years ago, I felt that aura. And at night, end of chapter. Chapter 247. Qian Rinxue looked at the figure in the distance. While he was shocked, he couldn't help but think quickly. The wild flame sky howling tiger was most likely injured by this person. And the reason why it suddenly stopped must be because of this person. But what exactly is his martial spirit? Is it also an angel? But why does it emit such an evil aura? Qian Rinxue looked at the other party with extreme vigilance. The 6-winged angel martial soul was the top martial soul in the continent, but the angel martial soul had always been holy and bright. How could it be tainted with such an evil and cold aura? And the wings on his back, there were 6 pairs of 12 wings? Qian Rinxue was horrified by the extreme rejection and the suppressed aura. At the same time, she also felt a little nervous. My 6-winged angel martial soul is actually suppressed? Qian Rinxue took a few steps back. The other party can actually suppress my 6-winged angel martial soul? How is this possible? No, not only is it suppressed by the evil angel martial soul, but also by the spear in his hand? The more Qian Rinxue sensed, the more shocked he was, because he found that the mysterious black spear in the other party's hand also gave him a terrifying and evil aura that suppressed his 6-winged angel martial soul. Could it be twin martial souls? Qian Rinxue became more and more shocked. Who is this person? Wait, he doesn't have a soul ring? Could it be that he didn't have a soul ring? Did his martial soul just awaken? Qian Rinxue saw clearly that although the other party's body was surrounded by black gas and emitted an extremely evil aura, he didn't have a soul ring. The black wings on his back were also illusory and not solid, which meant that they had just awakened. Who are you? Qian Rinxue thought. Although his martial soul was suppressed, this person didn't have a soul ring. His aura was extremely strange and his level was unknown. However, he must be very strong to be able to injure the wild flame sky howling tiger. What should I do? Kill him? That doesn't seem possible. Leave? Befriend him? The other party's aura was repulsive and extremely evil. He was probably not a good person. It was impossible to befriend him. This evil angel martial soul was innately incompatible with him. If the people in the hall found him, he would definitely be killed immediately. Leave? If he left so quickly, wouldn't it be too wasteful? It took him a lot of effort to find the owner of this auras. At least, he had to figure out this person's identity. And his martial soul, Qian Rinxue. But the other party still didn't speak. I have to test this person. Qian Rinxue took a deep breath and did not look at the wild flame howling heavenly tiger's black soul ring. Absorbing the soul ring now was simply courting death. The next moment. Divine sword. Qian Rinxue once again condensed a long sword that was burning with golden flames in her hand. This was her angel it of the SS of SST. It angel martial T? Angel's lock. Qian Rinxue's body suddenly lit up. Strands of light extended from her body to the other party's body from the ground. The strands of golden light enveloped the dark figure's body, forming a golden chain. It was sometimes visible. This was her fourth soul skill. It could lock and trap the enemy. It was a single-target soul skill and could weaken all the enemy's attribute. These two soul skills only lasted for 2 seconds. In the next moment, Qian Rinxue rushed towards the other party. It was extremely fast. The other party didn't move. It seemed to be bound by the golden chain. But when Qian Rinxue was only a few meters away, the other party suddenly moved. The mysterious figure broke free and broke her fourth soul skill. The golden chain turned into a golden dot and disappeared in the air. You can't beat me, the figure said indifferently. His voice was hoarse and he didn't sound young anymore. Qian Rinxue was stunned. The soul rings on her body lit up a few times. The long sword in her hand drew a golden arc in the air and landed in the other party's hand. The figure didn't dodge, and the long sword landed on the other party's shoulder. The golden flames burned fiercely, but it couldn't hurt the other party at all. On the contrary, the golden flames on the long sword became smaller and smaller. It was extinguished. Qian Rinxue. Immediately after, the other party's foot landed on his lower abdomen at lightning speed. Qian Rinxue's expression changed, and she was sent flying. What terrifying strength! A light flashed through her mind. Qian Rinxue, who was sent flying, quickly changed her posture in the air. Finally, she stabbed her long sword into the ground and forcefully stopped herself from being sent flying. She stomped her feet on the ground and left 2 marks that were dozens of meters long on the ground before she slowly came to a stop. Qian Rinxue coughed and stared at the figure in front of her. She was countered. The other party's evil angel martial soul was of a higher grade and completely countered her 6-winged angel martial soul. Darkness and light, no one completely countered each other. Light countered darkness, but darkness countered light. It was just a matter of whose martial soul was of a higher grade. The 6-winged angel martial soul is already the top martial soul. What kind of martial soul is it? Qian Rinxue was a little absent-minded. The other party didn't even have a soul ring. He countered her directly and made it difficult for her to use her strength? At this moment, TSK, this kick is quite comfortable. Wang Fengxin laughed secretly. In theory, the current Qian Rinxue was not much different from his current state. His 2 martial souls, the 4th form soul slaying spear and the 12-winged dark angel, didn't have a soul ring. Even if they awakened and possessed, they wouldn't be much stronger than Qianrenxue. Unfortunately, the 12-winged dark angel martial soul was of a higher grade and countered the other party. The movement of the surrounding soul beasts was also caused by his dark angel martial soul. He wanted to go into the depths of the forest just now, but the wild flame howling heavenly tiger was too bold and attacked him. Wang Feng was also happy to try his strength in this state. In the end, he didn't expect the soul-slaying spear to be so strong. Although his soul-slaying heavenly tiger consumed a lot of soul power, this 20,000-year wild flame howling heavenly tiger was completely suppressed by him. Just as it was about to die, Wang Feng was stunned and let the beast run away. And the reason why he was stunned was naturally because he felt a familiar aura coming in this direction. Until he saw this Qianrenxue, the masked man he saw before, fighting with the wild flame howling heavenly tiger. Wang Feng was stunned on the spot. Based on the aura, Wang Feng could clearly sense that the other party was Qianrenxue. But why is she here? Before he could figure it out, the other party attacked. Wang Feng was happy again. More than a year ago, he met this Qianrenxue in the Great Soul Arena. At that time, he couldn't have a big fight with the other party because of some reasons. Then, in Heaven Do City's Shrek Academy, the other party came to find him. In Heaven Do Imperial Academy, he heard the other party whispering to Si Rong. Listening to the tone, there was a hint of a female villain. It was probably the kind of arrogant, calm, and feeling that everything was under control. She even threatened Si Rong to kill him. Although she didn't really want to kill him, Wang Feng was still a little unhappy. Unexpectedly, end of chapter. Chapter 248. I can't let her die like this. There are too many variables if she dies. I'm not strong enough right now. Even a titled Douluo would find it hard to defeat me, and I'm only at the 40th rank. Wang Feng thought about it and walked to Qianrenxue's side. What do you want to do? Qianrenxue said coldly. Wang Feng didn't say anything else and directly carried Qianrenxue on his shoulder. Then, he glanced at the truck-like frenzy heaven howling tiger and dragged it with one hand as he quickly walked deeper into the forest. The blood-winged draconic beetle seemed to have noticed Wang Feng's presence and rushed towards him. Unfortunately, Wang Feng's speed was too fast. For the sake of speed, Wang Feng directly removed the Xianming armor and increased his speed by several times. Wang Feng carried Qianrenxue and frantically ran deeper into the forest, but the sound of the earthquake still came from behind. Wang Feng could feel that his aura had been locked on. No matter how fast he was, he couldn't escape the opponent's line of sight. We can't keep running like this. Wang Feng furrowed his brows. The aura of a 60,000-year spirit beast was locked on. Even if Wang Feng concealed his dark angel martial soul, he couldn't avoid it. This wasn't Erming. Erming didn't kill them back then because of Xiao Wu. This blood-winged dragon beetle was different. And Qianrenxue on Wang Feng's shoulder had long since been stupefied when Wang Feng lifted her up. Why did this person save me? Qianrenxue's mind was in a mess. This trip was second only to the time when she sneaked into the Heaven Do Empire. She didn't find that kid called Wang Feng. Instead, she found the aura that caused her heart to palpitate 7 years ago. She even saw the person in person. Although she didn't know who it was, she was still beaten up. Now she was actually saved by the other party. She was frantically escaping from the blood-winged dragon beetle's pursuit. Qianrenxue could clearly sense the aura locked on by the blood-winged dragon beetle. It would be great if there was something that could block my aura. Wait for me to recover. I'll kill you, smelly bug, with my ancient axe. Wang Feng panted slightly. Unknowingly, Wang Feng felt that his consumption was slowly increasing. His soul power was slowly becoming empty. At this time, Wang Feng concealed his soul-slaying spear. However, he didn't dare to remove the dark angel martial soul from his body. Once he removed it, his speed would be greatly reduced. he would definitely be eaten by the blood-winged dragon beetle. At this time, he also couldn't count on the meteoric tear. Because even if he reached his limit, before he had time to recover, he would definitely be eaten in one bite. Everything needed time. Qian Renxue was silent. She could also feel that her soul power was rapidly depleting. She might not be able to hold on for much longer. The blood-winged dragon beetle behind was getting closer and closer. It began to fly into the air. Adding on the aura lock, even if Wang Feng was faster than it, there wouldn't be too much of a gap. Put me down, Qian Renxue said indifferently. Don't tell me you think I can run much faster if I put you down? With your physique, it'll be gone in one bite. You won't even be able to stop it for a second. Wang Feng couldn't help laughing hoarsely. If you were a spirit beast right now, maybe I could throw you out and let it eat a few more bites. Qian Renxue was speechless. With that, Wang Feng threw the wild flame howling sky tiger in his hand at the blood-winged dragon beetle. As expected, the dragon beetle was slightly taken aback when it saw the wild flame howling sky tiger. It opened its mouth wide and swallowed it. The sound of chewing was unusually loud, making Qian Renxue's entire body go numb. But such a huge wild flame howling sky tiger didn't slow down the dragon beetle's speed. It continued to chew as it charged at Wang Feng. Do you see that? You're not even a tenth of the wild flame howling sky tiger's size. If you throw it in, you'll probably turn into its feces. Wang Feng's hoarse voice carried a hint of mockery. Qian Renxue was silent for a moment. Then let's die together. Die my ass. I don't want to die. Wang Feng thought to himself. They were about to reach the depth. According to Wang Feng's plan, he would run towards the depths and reach Deming and Erming's side. The crisis would naturally be resolved. Erming knew him, for better or worse he was also Xiao Wu's friend, right? It was better than falling into this bug's mouth. Secondly, if he could get something good by punching in, he could also avoid the crisis. Both could solve this crisis. Seeing Wang Feng not speaking, Qian Renxue also became silent. There was only the sound of the wind whistling in her ears. It was the first time she was carried on someone's shoulder like this. Qian Renxue didn't feel much. The crisis of death made her think too much. After a long time, feeling that the dragon beetle was getting closer, Qian Renxue suddenly asked in a low voice, "What's your name?" Wang Feng didn't reply. The trees in front of them suddenly became denser. The terrain was steep and undulating. The weak soul beasts in the surroundings had long since been scared away by the aura of the dragon beetle. Not long after, Wang Feng suddenly saw a small cave in front of them. Without any hesitation, Wang Feng directly threw Qian Renxue in. It's useless. The dragon beetle can sense us. However, Wang Feng didn't say anything. The cave was dark. Qian Renxue couldn't see clearly, but she knew that Wang Feng had also entered. Grab me, Wang Feng said in a low voice. Qian Renxue was stunned. She could only grab his shoulder. At this moment, a bone-like bone crown suddenly appeared on Wang Feng's head. It faintly emitted a strange light. Following that, their auras seemed to melt into the darkness and disappeared. Roar, roar, roar. At this time, the dragon beetle's violent roar came from outside. It seemed to be angry that its prey had disappeared. It had obviously chased them all the way here, but the aura actually disappeared? As if it was unwilling, the blood-clad dragon beetle kept roaring in the sky. Qian Renxue's heart was pounding. She was a little confused. It seems that the dragon beetle's aura that had locked onto us has disappeared? How did it do that? After a while, the roar slowly disappeared. Seeing this, Qian Renxue heaved a sigh of relief. Wang Feng's eyes were slightly focused in front of him. He thought to himself, that was too dangerous. Because just now, ding! Congratulations on successfully using the Lord card. You have obtained a mysterious soul bone. Please feel it yourself. The host has a 30,000-year soul ring. You have obtained an additional reward. The age of the soul ring has increased to 2,000 years. Please choose. Ding. the next time you clock in. Supreme Pontiff Palace. There are no requirements, but there is an additional reward. After more than a year, finally, the sound of a clock in could be heard. And this time, what he obtained was a mysterious soul bone given by the system. It was the skull soul bone that Wang Feng had just attached to his head. The moment he obtained it, Wang Feng did not know what other uses it had, but he knew that it was to conceal his aura. The products of the system were all of high quality. Wang Feng did not doubt it. He did not expect that this time, it would actually give him a skull soul bone. The skull soul bone was considered the rarest after the external soul bone and the torso soul bone. This soul bone looked a little like Sun Wukong's golden hoop spell. It looked a little strange wearing it on his head. It was even black. In the darkness, it was hard to tell. End of this chapter. Chapter 249. The moment it appeared, Wang Feng immediately used it to shield his and Qianrenshue's aura. It seemed that as long as it touched him, it could be shielded. However, it consumed a lot of spiritual power. Both of them seemed to be covered in a layer of transparent energy cloak. It was this energy cloak that blocked the dragon beetle's aura. Wang Feng heaved a sigh of relief. When I recover, I'll study this soul bone and then find the dragon beetle for revenge. In the pitch-black cave, both of them didn't speak. They could only hear each other's heartbeats. Wang Feng's dark humanoid martial soul was also removed. A 60,000-year spirit beast, and an extremely powerful and savage one at that. Wang Feng didn't expect to be chased by such a powerful spirit beast. It seems like I should use this dark angel martial soul as little as possible. Furthermore, it seems like this martial soul needs some special nourishment to improve. Wang Feng thought to himself. He was a little afraid of this dark angel martial soul. It was too easy to lose one's rationality due to its ice-cold and evil aura. The demonic aura of the soul-slaying spear was already very troublesome. Now there was a dark angel martial soul. Although it was very powerful, it was too troublesome. In fact, the soul-slaying spear was still fine. After a long time, Qianrenshu seemed to regain her senses. Wang Feng could vaguely smell a faint fragrance. He didn't know if it was coming from Qianrenshu. Wang Feng didn't say much. After concealing the skull bone, he took out a bunch of things from his soul tool, including flint and combustibles. Not long after, the fire was lit up in the cave. Wang Feng also saw Qianrenshu. The swollen parts of her body that he had hit seemed to have recovered. Evidently, her martial soul's recovery ability wasn't bad. Furthermore, Wang Feng didn't hit her too hard, so she recovered very quickly. It was just that her face was a little pale, and her long hair was slightly loose. But because she was dressed as a man, she looked a little weird. Wang Feng didn't know if she had used some special method to change her appearance. Was this her original appearance? Let's rest for a day. We'll go our separate ways tomorrow. Wang Feng said casually. Qianrenshu looked at Wang Feng. No matter how fast he had run, his mask still hadn't fallen off. That terrifying dark angel martial soul had also disappeared, and he had returned to his normal size. In the faint firelight, Qianrenshu could only see the general shape of the other party. It was a little smaller than when he had used martial soul possession. How did you do it just now? You blocked the dragon beetle's perception? Qianrenshu suddenly asked. Wang Feng looked at her, but didn't answer. How could he tell Qianrenshu about the skull? It was already good enough that he could save her life. Moreover, he didn't have time to carefully sense it, and he didn't want to reveal the skull in front of Qianrenshu. There was still a fire, and it could be seen clearly when it was released. Seeing that Wang Feng didn't say anything, Qianrenshu didn't ask anymore. After a moment of silence, she slowly asked, My surname is Shui, and I'm called Shuirenqian. What's your name? Wang Feng thought for a moment, and replied indifferently with a hoarse voice. My name is Feng Yuxiu. Hearing that, Qianrenshu muttered a few words. She didn't find it strange, and it was a very normal name. Why did you save me? Qian Rinxue stared at Wang Feng. Because I didn't want to kill you, Wang Feng said. Qian Rinxue was stunned for a moment. I know you didn't want to kill me, but what does that have to do with you saving me? Your martial spirit is special. If you were eaten by this spirit beast, it would mutate and become stronger. I'm afraid I wouldn't even have the chance to escape. Seeing that Qian Rinxue was in a daze, Wang Feng opened his mouth and spoke nonsense. That makes sense. I overlooked this point. However, Qian Rinxue nodded. Wang Feng. No matter what, I still have to thank you. You saved my life, I will remember it. Qian Rinxue said indifferently. Oh right, it's best not to casually release your martial spirit in the future. Otherwise, it will cause a very large disturbance. Dark Angel Martial Spirit? If it was released outside, Spirit Hall would definitely be the first to capture him. One must know that Spirit Hall's consecrated Grand Elder Qian Dalu had the Seraphim Martial Spirit. Qian clan could be said to have inherited the Angel Martial Spirit. If this kind of incomparably opposite evil and dark martial spirit appeared, it would definitely be captured by Spirit Hall, and then, however, Qian Rinxue felt that even though the opponent's dark angel martial spirit restrained him, there was still a vague special power attracting him. Wang Feng didn't reply. These words didn't need Qian Rinxue to say, he also knew. At this moment, a gurgling sound suddenly rang out. This was the sound of a hungry stomach. Qian Rinxue's face turned red. Don't you have food in your soul tool? Wang Feng asked. Food is with my subordinates. Qian Rinxue shook her head. My soul tool very rarely has food. I couldn't tell, you're still a young master. Wang Feng's voice was hoarse and he laughed. As he spoke, he took out the dry rations prepared in his soul tool and handed it to Qian Rinxue. Qian Rinxue took it but didn't eat it. Why do you still suspect that it's poisonous? Wang Feng shook his head and directly ate it. This dry rations were meat patties, which could be eaten after being roasted over the fire. Seeing this, Qian Rinxue ate in small bites. In the past, as someone who often came to the Great Star Do Forest to fight soul beasts, Wang Feng naturally prepared all kinds of dry rations. That dragon beetle should still be nearby. We have to stay in this cave for a day or two. Wang Feng said casually. He planned to recover and recuperate, and after leaving with Qian Rinxue tomorrow, he would find that dragon beetle and fight it out. Yes. Qian Rinxue didn't say much. After eating, Wang Feng sized up the cave. This cave wasn't big, and it should be the resting place of some kind of soul beast, but it should be dead. There were only a few bones on the ground and some weathered feces. Look at this feces, it should be the nest of the goldbiter rats, but they should be dead, killed by other soul beasts. Wang Feng sized up the surroundings and said, this kind of weak soul beast nest won't attract strong soul beasts for the time being. His current understanding of soul beasts wasn't inferior to grandmasters, or even better. After all, he was actually fighting with soul beasts, and not just in theory. You know a lot. Have you always lived here? Qian Rinxue asked curiously. She remembered that the last time she sensed the other's spirit aura, it seemed to be in the direction of the Star Do Great Forest. Why are you asking so much? Wang Feng laughed cruelly. Why should I tell you? Forget it if you don't want to say. Qian Rinxue wasn't angry, and shook her head indifferently. After eating, the two of them did their own things. Qian Rinxue didn't have much spirit power left, and naturally closed her eyes to meditate and recover. Wang Feng began to sense that skull's information. He had used it in a hurry just now, and with this slight sensing, Wang Feng felt a terrifying spiritual force surge out of this skull, instantly attacking his mind. This skull, I'm afraid it's not simple. Wang Feng was slightly startled. Ordinary spirit bones all had abilities. Just now this skull's first ability, Wang Feng had already used it. Similar to concealing one's aura. could block the aura of 60,000-year spirit beasts. That was to say, at least it could completely conceal the aura of a spirit Douluo. The key wasn't just concealing one's own, it could also conceal others. End of this chapter. Chapter 250. Speaking of which, if I use the karmic fire of the red lotus to refine my entire body, I should be able to achieve the same effect, right? But I can't help others. Wang Feng thought about it and decided to name the first soul skill, fog concealment, because when he used it, his entire body would be shrouded in a layer of faint energy fog. As for the second soul skill, Wang Feng could also feel it. Since it had a second soul skill, it meant that this skull was at least 100,000 years old. The second soul skill was perception. To be more precise, it was to perceive the opponent's martial soul, soul ring, and strength. Wait, this skull doesn't look like a soul beast from the Douluo world, Wang Feng muttered. The appearance of this skull was a bit like a band-tightening spell, but in the middle, there were two more pointed tentacles, which looked better. Also, the size was slightly bigger, and it looked more like a crown. The system was too mysterious, and he had to study everything it gave him. But it was also quite interesting. Wang Feng's mind moved, and the skull slowly appeared. His eyes stared at Qian Rinxue in an instant. A series of information appeared in his mind. Martial soul. Seraphim martial soul rings. 2 yellow, 2 purple, 1 black. Level 60. The information seemed simple, but it made Wang Feng's eyes flash. Because Wang Feng could vaguely feel that he could see the opponent's soul skill for the second soul skill. But because his spiritual power wasn't strong enough, the degree of information was dependent on his spiritual power, and the difference in soul power was too big. It was also at this time. Qian Rinxue opened her eyes. Seeing this, Wang Feng quickly hid the spirit bone. Qian Rinxue looked at Wang Feng and frowned. Did you look at me just now? I didn't. No, you saw it. I felt it. Hearing this, Wang Feng said inwardly, it seemed that the difference in soul level was easy for the opponent to notice. Thinking about it, I'm rank 40, she's rank 60, a bit of detection is very normal. You didn't look at me, how did you know I was looking at you? Wang Feng didn't want to admit it. Don't interrupt. Qian Rinxue said indifferently, did you have some intention just now? Qian Rinxue rarely felt the feeling of being seen through by the opponent. Even a spirit Douluo couldn't see through her disguise. But just now, Qian Rinxue actually had a kind of illusion of being seen through. This wasn't something that could be done with just a few glances. You're a man, what intention could I have? Wang Feng sneered a few times. Qian Rinxue was silent. Seems so, he doesn't know my identity, and even more doesn't know my disguise. To be precise, he's never even seen me. What intention could he have? Could it be that just now was a kind of illusion? Qian Rinxue didn't think about it. At this time, night fell. Wang Feng took out the outdoor bedding from his spirit tool. The inside of this cave was full of bumps and hollows. All kinds of expressions this day made Wang Feng's mind a bit tired. The main thing was that the impact of the two spirits was too strong, plus the escape. Even Wang Feng was somewhat unable to bear it. He thought to himself that he would sleep today and properly recover, then go look for that dragon beetle tomorrow. Qian Rinxue watched from the side, only inwardly thinking, Meng Xinji's trio should be looking for me everywhere right now, right? The three of them shouldn't have died, they should have only blocked that dragon beetle for a while. Tired? Wang Feng glanced at Qian Rinxue. He naturally also saw the fatigue on her face. Speaking of it, this Qian Rinxue had first rushed for a day, then was ruthlessly beaten by him, beaten until she didn't have any strength, and then there was a bout of bumpy escape. Her mental fluctuations weren't any less than his. Do you want to give it to me? Qian Rinxue looked at the clean bedding Wang Feng had laid out and said in a low voice. Right now she also wanted to sleep. In your dreams. Go sleep on the rock by yourself, I don't have that good of a relationship with you. Wang Feng said unhappily. Qian Rinxue's elegant brows stood erect, but the calm temperament cultivated over the years prevented her from getting angry, and she also didn't have the qualifications to get angry. Touching the ice-cold rock, Qian Rinxue spread some licorice and also lay down. Glancing out of the corner of her eye, she discovered that this Feng Yuxiu had already fallen into a deep sleep. This person is too mysterious. Qian Rinxue carefully thought about today's scenes. Looking at the circumstances, he seemed to have twin spirits, no spirit rings, and his rank was also a mystery. But he could completely suppress her. After being beaten up, Qian Rinxue had nothing to say, because she was the one who attacked first. But she didn't expect that later on, he was able to escape with her from the mouth of the blood-winged dragon beetle. At the end, could it be a kind of spirit skill that shielded his aura? Why didn't he use it earlier? What kind of spirit skill can even shield the aura of a 60,000-year spirit beast from locking on? Qian Rinxue thought in her heart. She was very smart, but at this moment, she felt that the man who was only 2 hands away from her was extremely mysterious. This is the first man who slept so close to me, and a complete stranger. Qian Rinxue had a different kind of thought in her heart. Thinking about it, it still felt a little absurd, but it happened again. Fortunately, the other party didn't know that she was a woman. Although the ground was covered with licorice, these bumpy stones really made Qian Rinxue a little uncomfortable. However, Qian Rinxue only slightly frowned and didn't say anything. The bonfire that was still emitting residual heat had already slowly extinguished, and the temperature gradually became cold. Qian Rinxue didn't feel cold, but her heart was slightly cold. Tomorrow morning, I hope that the dragon beetle will disappear from the vicinity. Qian Rinxue slowly closed her eyes. At this time, Wang Feng suddenly stood up and said in a deep voice, "I thought about it. This is the depths of the forest. Although this cave is very hidden, if both of us sleep, it will still be easy for us to be attacked by spirit beasts. You sleep here first, I will go and keep watch for a while. After 3 hours I will wake you up, you will keep watch, and I will sleep." After saying that, Wang Feng walked out of the cave. Hearing this, Qian Rinxue opened her eyes and was startled. However, the other party was so vigilant and steady, Qian Rinxue admired him in her heart. After thinking for a while, Qian Rinxue walked to the bedding that the other party had laid out. Suddenly, her face became slightly rosy. Because the bedding had a trace of warmth, it was clearly left by the other party. Lying down, Qian Rinxue slightly relaxed. Having a bedding was really different, it was much more comfortable. Very soon, Qian Rinxue fell into a deep sleep. On the 3rd day, when Qian Rinxue woke up, she discovered that the sky was already bright. Seeing this, Qian Rinxue was startled and suddenly got up. "Feng Yuxiu," she called out slightly. The cave was already somewhat bright, but she still didn't hear any reply. "Left." Qian Rinxue stared blankly. "He didn't wake me up? Directly left?" Suddenly, Qian Rinxue felt a bit disappointed, immediately shaking her head. At this time, a silhouette walked in from outside. "Oh? You're awake?" The newcomer was Wang Feng. He glanced at Qian Rinxue, and couldn't help scolding. "Why did you sleep like a pig? I couldn't wake you up last night. I had to meditate outside for the whole night." Wang Feng walked in, holding a roasted little rabbit in his hand. Qian Rinxue looked at Wang Feng, suddenly feeling a bit embarrassed. Could it be that she slept very deeply last night? He didn't wake her up? Wang Feng walked over, placing the little rabbit in front of Qian Rinxue, saying indifferently, eat it, and we can leave for the time being." Qian Rinxue looked at the little rabbit, frowning. "I'm a vegetarian. This little rabbit, but she still hadn't finished speaking. "I'll throw it away if you don't eat it." "So much bullshit." Wang Feng's hoarse voice directly cut her off, without the slightest consideration for her. Qian Rinxue thought about it, but still started eating. While eating, Qian Rinxue looked at Wang Feng, but discovered that Wang Feng was full of energy, not like he hadn't rested for the whole night, and couldn't help feeling slightly astonished. She didn't know that last night, when Wang Feng was keeping watch, he studied the skull bone for the whole night, and the more he studied, the more spirited he became. Because the effect of this skull spirit bone was much greater than Wang Feng had imagined. Apart from the two spirit skills, it also provided an extremely strong spirit amplification, as well as a strong spirit recovery ability. "Oh right, what do you plan to do later?" Qian Renxue glanced at Wang Feng. Although she still couldn't see its appearance, it was inexplicably much more pleasing to the eye. This roasted little rabbit was also more delicious than imagined. "Hunting spirit beasts," Wang Feng said indifferently. "What kind of spirit beasts are you hunting? Why don't we go together? It just so happens that I also want to hunt." Qian Renxue's eyes slightly brightened. However, Wang Feng's next words made Qian Renxue dumbfounded. "I want to hunt blood-winged dragon beetles. Are you sure you want to come together?" 10 Night Watch. End of this chapter. Chapter 251. P.S. The ending of the previous chapter was slightly changed, but the chapter name couldn't be changed, so it wasn't changed. Wang Feng didn't intend to tell Qian Renxue about hunting blood-winged dragon beetles, and it was also impossible for him to go hunting blood-winged dragon beetles or other soul beasts with Qian Renxue, exposing himself. After eating, it was about time for the two to go their separate ways. And when Qian Renxue heard Wang Feng say this, she knew that he definitely wanted to go hunting soul beasts and wasn't willing to tell, so she naturally wouldn't ask. "Where's my bedding?" Wang Feng walked over and was just about to put the bedding away. But he discovered that Qian Renxue had already taken a step ahead of him and put it away. "What? I saved your life and you eat a meal of mine. You even want my bedding?" Wang Feng snorted coldly. "I slept on this bedding." Qian Renxue's indifferent tone made Wang Feng feel something inside again. But speaking up to hear, Qian Renxue still added a sentence. "Give it to me?" Wang Feng laughed sarcastically and said, "Take it if you want it." He reckoned that Qian Renxue thought she had slept on it, and that there was her aura on it, so she didn't want to give it to anyone else. Finished speaking, Wang Feng directly walked out of the cave. Just as he was about to leave, he heard Qian Renxue suddenly speak up. "Feng Yuxiu, I will remember the favor of saving my life." "You'd better forget." Wang Feng disappeared from Qian Renxue's line of sight. Qian Renxue stared blankly, then suddenly smiled. Fortunately Wang Feng wasn't here. If he was, perhaps he would be astonished that Qian Renxue's current smile really had a bit of that number 1 beauty's flavor. Qian Renxue touched the bedding, then folded it neatly and put it away in her spirit tool. Walking out of the cave, she only felt the sun shining brightly, the air fresh, making her mind shake, her mood especially good. Not long after, Qian Renxue found 3 titled Douluo as she walked. "Your Highness, it's all our fault. Fortunately you're alright, we searched for you through the night. Still thought you." When Meng Xinji saw Qian Renxue, he was truly alarmed. Yesterday they had only resisted that blood-wing armored dragon for a while, and then couldn't resist any longer. Because if they continued to resist, perhaps their lives would be in danger. In addition, Her Highness had also left, so they directly withdrew. But there was no trace of Her Highness, which really gave them a fright. After searching for most of the night, they still didn't find any trace. They were also afraid of disturbing the other variant devil beasts in Star Do Great Forest, so they didn't go deep into the search, and planned to search a few more years after daybreak. They didn't expect Her Highness to directly return. "I'm fine." Qian Renxue waved her hand indifferently, then glanced at them. "Let's go, first find a suitable spirit beast, then we'll return to Heavendo City." On this trip, they didn't find any traces of that kid Wang Feng, but it didn't matter. In any case, coming here was enough to obtain the 6th spirit ring. At the same time, Wang Feng used this skull to sense the auras around him. Coupled with the soul bone's misty shadow soul skill, he could almost stealthily approach many 10,000-year soul beasts. It was as if he was invisible. This skull was indeed powerful. This misty shadow soul skill could conceal his entire body. This kind of concealment wasn't one with heaven and earth, but completely disappeared. Even 20 to 30,000 year soul beasts wouldn't be detected unless they were within 5 meters of the other party. But 5 meters short? Wang Feng could directly cause a large amount of damage to the other party with just one step. It was negligible. Along the way, Wang Feng tested many soul beasts, and they were all the same. Furthermore, the soul bone's second soul skill, perception, could clearly sense the age of these soul beasts. Even if he didn't activate his dark angel martial soul, he could still sense soul beasts thousands of meters away. If it was a dangerous soul beast, Wang Feng could sense it immediately and leave. With this skull, my safety will be greatly increased in the future. Wang Feng took a deep breath. This skull doesn't have a name yet. I'll give it a name myself. How about the Black Hoop Spiritual Skull? This name wasn't too fancy. Black referred to the black color of the skull, Hoop referred to the golden hoop spell, and spiritual referred to the fact that this skull could provide Wang Feng with an endless stream of spiritual power, allowing his brain to stay awake at all times. Using this skull, Wang Feng was like a fish in water in the great Star Do forest. He sensed the dragon beetle while sensing the powerful magical beasts nearby, and he stealthily avoided them. Not long after, Wang Feng sensed the dragon beetle. Its mountain-like body was in front, and it seemed to be taking a nap. It was the size of 2 basketball courts, and its size wasn't inferior to Erming's. Even though it was taking a nap, this dragon beetle still emitted an extremely terrifying aura. It breathed in and out a bloody mist, and the wings on its back would occasionally flap, flashing through the air like a bloody shadow. In fact, it was very easy to find this blood-winged dragon beetle. This was because there wasn't a single soul beast within a kilometer of this extremely ferocious soul beast. It wasn't like the sky blue bull python or the titan giant ape, which were slightly more gentle and wouldn't wantonly kill. Soul beasts were like humans, there were good and bad ones. Furthermore, this blood-winged dragon beetle's temperament couldn't be tamed. Wang Feng took a deep breath. He was still several hundred meters away from this blood-winged dragon beetle. Even though he used Misty Shadow to conceal his aura, Wang Feng didn't dare to get too close. Divine Transformation. Wang Feng first activated his Golden Lotus and secretly cast Divine Transformation on himself. Lotus of Thorns. As the Black Lotus spun, Wang Feng's defense increased by another level. As soon as he used these 2 soul skills, an aura that could be seen with the naked eye spread out from Wang Feng's body. Wang Feng didn't plan to use other soul skills to harass this blood-winged dragon beetle. The reason was simple: it would be a waste of soul power. Even if he could injure this blood-winged dragon beetle, it wouldn't be fatal. Instead, it would be a waste of soul power. At a time like this, Wang Feng naturally had to make the most of his soul power. He used it all on Panga's axe. Even his dark angel martial soul was useless. With his rank 40 soul power, his Black Lotus should be able to activate Panga's axe. Wang Feng's body was covered in a layer of white mist, and his entire body was shining with golden light. He stared coldly at the blood-winged dragon beetle in front of him. 3 pitch-black soul rings shone brightly on his body. Yes, his first soul ring had also been upgraded to a 1,000-year soul ring. The system's additional reward was an increase of 2,000 years, which directly upgraded his first soul ring to a 10,000-year one. Wang Feng upgraded his first soul ring to a 10,000-year one last night when Qianrenxue was resting. This was also the reason why he wanted to keep watch at night. Otherwise, it would be easy to attract attention. Other than increasing his own strength, the biggest effect of the upgrade was naturally the upgrade of his soul skills. Right now, his divine soul skill increased all his attributes by 4 times. Other than the various effects from before, such as immunity to poison, immunity to pain, and the additional paralysis effect when attacking, there was also an additional effect, immunity to all conditions. To put it simply, he was now not controlled by any soul skills, and he was not threatened by any aura. It could be considered a complete divine soul skill. Wang Feng reckoned that if he upgraded it again, this soul skill might even be able to avoid death. When that time came, coupled with the meteoric tear, he reckoned that he would really be an unkillable cockroach. Fortunately, each of my forms is independent, and my soul rings can be revealed individually. Otherwise, with an all-black soul ring that's not even 14 years old, Wang Feng thought to himself, I'm afraid that I'll be captured by all the major forces on the continent for research. In theory, it wasn't impossible to have an all-black soul ring, but it seemed that it would only be possible to have one in the later stages of the divine trial. All right. Wang Feng took a few deep breaths. With the divine soul skill, even if this was a 100,000-year soul beast, it would not be able to use its aura to suppress him. Then, Wang Feng turned his palm, held his breath, and concentrated. In his other hand, the Pangu axe quietly appeared. Pangu axe. End of this chapter. Chapter 252. Like 10,000 streams returning to the sea, the soul power crazily poured into this ordinary-looking axe. In the next moment, an incomparably bright pillar of light soared into the sky from Wang Feng's body. After this pillar of light, the originally bright sky was suddenly covered by dark clouds and lightning flashed. The lightning that streaked across the sky seemed as if it was going to split the sky apart. With Wang Feng as the center, a hurricane-like airwave spread out in all directions. In an instant, the surrounding trees were directly uprooted from the ground. The black robe and mask on his body were completely shattered. His originally sparkling and translucent skin and jade-like bones were now filled with blood, as they were filled with the terrifying power of the Pangu axe. Countless blood traces overflowed from Wang Feng's body. This was because the blood vessels in his skin were completely unable to withstand this power. That was why they appeared on the surface of his skin as if they were being squeezed. Even his face was covered with various tiny blood vessels. Fortunately, this time, his entire body did not explode inch by inch like the last time. Even his consciousness was incomparably clear. His black hoop spirit skull directly appeared, preventing Wang Feng from being confused by the power of the Pangu axe. On the contrary, Wang Feng could now feel the power of the Pangu axe. Clear, powerful, invincible. After being tempered by the karmic fire of the Red Lotus, his spirit, soul, and skull had far surpassed the state when he used the Pangu axe the last time. This meant that he could accurately display the power of the Pangu axe. Looking at the Pangu axe that was about to condense, a trace of heat flashed in Wang Feng's eyes. At this time, the blood-winged dragon beetle, which was taking a nap, was naturally awakened by this aura. Moreover, at this time, the fog shadow soul skill of Wang Feng's skull was already unable to conceal Wang Feng's current aura. The aura brought by the Pangu axe was too terrifying, and it was simply impossible to conceal. Similarly, the blood-winged draconic beetle spotted Wang Feng's position almost immediately. It roared angrily and directly attacked Wang Feng. It was also at this time. The Pangu axe martial soul had already condensed. It had turned into a real axe. When the axe gently landed on Wang Feng's palm, boom boom boom. In the next moment, the light pillar on Wang Feng's body seemed to expand several times. An aura that caused all living beings to feel fear from the light pillar, it covered the entire Great Star Doe forest. Countless soul beasts crawled on the ground as if they were on a pilgrimage, looking at the light pillar. Even those soul beasts that were tens of thousands of years old also let out roars towards the direction of the light pillar. Their roars were filled with fear and dread. Time passed, and Wang Feng once again condensed the Pangu axe. The moment he held it in his hand, an aura that seemed to split the heavens, the sun and the moon and shatter the mountains and rivers, violently emitted from his body. The spontaneous airflow caused Wang Feng's hair to whistle and fly around chaotically, adding to his cold and wild aura. Looking at the attacking blood-winged dragon beetle, Wang Feng's face was expressionless. Immediately after, he stomped his foot, and the ground cracked inch by inch. His entire body was like a blood-colored lightning bolt, bringing along the light pillar. With a posture that seemed to be able to split Mount Hua, he simply and unpretentiously chopped at the flying blood-winged dragon beetle with his axe. In the sky, streaks of lightning struck down along the light pillar, shining brightly as if they were afraid of this terrifying power. This axe seemed to split the heavens and the earth. A terrifying wave of air blew in all directions from midair. From afar it looked like a blood-colored ball of light, flickering with lightning, rising up and then falling down. Roar! The blood-winged dragon beetle let out an angry roar filled with fear. At this moment, the aura on Wang Feng's body, as well as the aura brought about by the axe, made it feel incomparably terrified. However, this roar could not stop Wang Feng. Seeing this, 2 pillars of blood shot out from the blood-winged dragon beetle's mouth, directly hitting Wang Feng's body. This pillar of blood was extremely destructive to Soul Masters. Once it was dispelled, the Soul Master would instantly go crazy and lose consciousness until he died of exhaustion, allowing the blood-winged dragon beetle to absorb his energy. Following that, the stone armor on its back that was carved with countless patterns quickly closed up, forming a flawless armor. The blood-winged dragon beetle's attack and defense speed were not bad. The blood wings on its back also began to emit intense rays of light. This kind of light could affect the surrounding area, causing enemies to feel as if they had fallen into a quagmire, greatly reducing their speed. After doing all this, Wang Feng did not encounter any obstruction at all. The pillars of blood that sprayed on his body did not flow out at all. The light formed by the blood wings also could not stop Wang Feng. Wang Feng's axe directly landed on the back of the blood-winged dragon beetle with the force of lightning. Because the blood-winged dragon beetle was too big, even though Wang Feng's aura was astonishing, his axe landing on the back of the blood-winged dragon beetle looked like a basketball landing on a basketball court. However, the instant the axe landed, crack, 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 the ground where the blood-winged dragon beetle was on seemed to be directly pressed down by a few hundred tons of weight. Countless cracks appeared in all directions. Its huge body also quickly sank. As for the stone armor on his back, it cracked almost immediately. Although the blood-winged dragon beetle's defense was also very strong, it might not be stronger than the thorny mysterious underworld tortoise's defense. This was because the thorny mysterious underworld tortoise was famous for its defense. At this moment, Wang Feng, who was at level 40, was naturally many times stronger than when he was at level 30. After the axe landed, Wang Feng's body only spilled a little blood. It was not like the previous time, where he was directly shaken and almost all the bones in his body were broken. However, this axe only broke the defense of the dragon beetle's back. It seems like this axe is not enough. At this moment, Wang Feng's entire body was surrounded by air waves. He pulled out the Pangu axe and felt the little strength left in his body. His eyes were stunned. Then, I will attack again. This was a 60,000-year-old dragon beetle after all. Even with his current strength at level 40, it was not very possible for him to kill it with one axe strike. Its vitality was too strong. If it was a 30,000-year-old thorny mysterious underworld tortoise, this axe strike would have killed it. However, Wang Feng still had strength to spare. His soul power at level 40, his divine soul skill, his physique after being tempered by the karmic fire of the Red Lotus, and his skull gave him an extremely calm state. At this moment, Wang Feng could clearly feel that he still had the strength to attack again. Roar! At this moment, the stone carapace on the back of the blood-winged dragon beetle was broken. It let out an extremely angry roar. It suddenly spoke in the human language, and spoke in an extremely angry voice. Human, who are you? I have lived for so many years. I have never seen a human with such an exaggerated martial soul. You, who are so weak, can hurt me. Its voice was very awkward. It sounded like a foreigner speaking in Mandarin. Clearly, it did not speak the human language often. Yes, it had lived for 60,000 years. In this great Douluo forest, it did not know how many soul masters and soul beasts it had killed. It had never seen such an exaggerated martial soul. Clearly, this human's rank was not high, but it could actually cause such a terrifying amount of damage. Unless it was a titled Douluo, even those powerful soul Douluo might not be able to cause such an exaggerated amount of damage. Wang Feng could not be bothered to reply. He gathered all the strength in his body and leaped high into the air again. He swung his axe down directly. This time, because he had overdrawn his strength, the bones in his body let out a crisp sound. When he swung down, his entire body was like a fully drawn hunting bow. The axe landed on the body of the blood-winged dragon beetle, which did not have the protection of its stone carapace. End of this chapter. Chapter 253. The flesh and blood under its carapace were split into a spider web. The ruptured flesh and blood were crazily split open. And Wang Feng also landed on the ground. 2 strikes of the axe is still a bit strenuous. If I was at the 60th level, I could directly chop this beetle to death with 1 strike. Wang Feng fiercely spurted out a mouthful of blood, and the pangu axe in his hand instantly disappeared. This blood-winged dragon beetle was not an ordinary 60,000-year spirit beast. It belonged to the extremely fierce kind. Compared to Erming, it should be 2 levels lower. Even if it was Douluo, let alone 2 moves, even 10 moves would not be able to kill this beetle. However, Douluo was good at group attacks, not single attacks. Moreover, the pangu axe also restrained this blood-winged dragon beetle, causing fear in the heart of this blood-winged dragon beetle, causing its strength to decrease by 20%. Wang Feng lay on the ground, gasping for breath. This was the second time he used pangu axe, and Wang Feng had already somewhat adapted to it. 2 extreme strikes of the axe made the injuries on Wang Feng's body much lighter than the last time. In addition, the meteoric tear also gushed out energy, rapidly healing. However, because his body was too strong, the meteoric tear's healing speed was a bit slower than before. While Wang Feng was recovering, in the distance, Qian Renxue and the others who were hunting a 20,000-year wild flame, howling sky tiger were stunned. To be precise, when that light beam lit up, they were stunned. That is. Qian Renxue looked at that light beam in the distance. Expert. Meng Xinji looked with a frightened expression. It's definitely an expert. No, this kind of aura is too terrifying. Even a title Douluo doesn't have this kind of aura. The other 2 title Douluo were also shocked again and again. At that time, even the sword Douluo had been shocked by this aura, thinking it was a god descending to earth. Right now, the 3 spirit Douluo were naturally even more shocked. Your Highness, look, this wild flame howling sky tiger is directly lying down? Its eyes are full of fear. Ji Lin pointed at the fierce sky tiger that was bound by his sky azure vine and was still struggling, but as soon as that light beam's aura dispersed, it instantly lay down. Qian Renxue's heart was also filled with fear, because she also felt incomparably clearly that this wild flame howling sky tiger was even more afraid than the one that had encountered Feng Yuxiu. What kind of terrifying existence does this great Douluo forest have? Bai Baoshan muttered, even I feel incomparably fearful. What exactly is that thing? As the light beam in the center became brighter and brighter, looking from afar, a blood-colored ball of light suddenly appeared in the sky, and they could vaguely see a human figure within it. But it was too far, and the 3 of them could not see it clearly. But the waves of air that had been released in the past half a year could affect them here. Don't worry about it for now, you guys protect me. I'll kill this wild flame howling sky tiger first and absorb its soul ring. Qian Rinxue said calmly, just nice, this is also the best opportunity. The nearby soul beasts won't come and cause trouble. The three of them nodded repeatedly. This was indeed the best opportunity. Star Do Great Forest Center. Ming, can you feel it? The sky blue bull python's enormous body suddenly appeared in the middle of an enormous and pure lake that flickered with lustrous light. The Titan giant ape was currently combing its fur on the shore of the lake. It's that aura again. After a year, I feel that it seems to have become a lot stronger. Ming, what do you think? I feel the same. Ming said naively. The sky blue bull python glared at him and said in a low voice, go take a look at that place. Xiao Wu hasn't returned for more than a year. I don't know if she's in danger. Those friends of his don't seem to have come to the Star Do Great Forest again. Okay, big brother, wait for me to comb my fur, I'll go take a look. Xiao Wu isn't here, so I can only comb my own hair, Ming said. The sky blue bull python looked at him in silence for a moment and said, if you comb it now, won't you mess it up again when you go out later? Why don't you go take a look first, store the messy hair, and comb it together when you come back? Sigh. Big brother, you're so smart, why didn't I think of that? Ming's lantern-sized eyes lit up, and then he messed up his freshly combed fur. We'll comb it together when we come back, big brother. I'll go take a look. With that said, Ming walked out. Remember, don't get too close. The sky blue bull python's voice sounded. Wang Feng recovered for a while, and the meteoric tear's recovery ability was still very strong. As long as he was given time, he would be able to recover no matter how severe his injuries were. After a while, Wang Feng stood up and walked toward the blood-winged dragon beetle. His pitch-black soul ring exuded a dazzling light, and there was a faint, intimidating aura around it. However, Wang Feng did not absorb it. Red Face Hellfire. Wang Feng turned around, and the red lotus of Hellfire emitted a bright red light. Go! After recovering some of his soul power, Wang Feng activated the Hellfire in the red lotus, turning it into a waterfall of flames that burned the blood-winged dragon beetle. This blood-winged dragon beetle was too ferocious, and even if it was dead, its soul would still be extremely violent. Wang Feng was a little worried if he absorbed it directly. To be safe, Wang Feng used the Hellfire to burn the blood-winged dragon beetle first. He had not thought of this before, but when he learned that the red lotus would also temper his body and burn his soul, he thought of it. If I use the Hellfire of the red lotus to burn these soul beasts' souls, will it be easier for me to absorb them? Would it be easier for him to refine the souls of these ferocious soul beasts so that he could absorb them? The Hellfire of the red lotus slowly burned the blood-winged dragon beetle's body. Vaguely, Wang Feng could hear gusts of cold wind howling, as if the blood-winged dragon beetle was crying out in pain. The blood-winged dragon beetle's body was too big, so the Hellfire of the red lotus did not cover it quickly. However, the Hellfire of the red lotus burned its soul directly. Without hesitation, Wang Feng sat down cross-legged and began to absorb the blood-winged dragon beetle's soul ring. The pitch-black soul ring entered Wang Feng's body from the blood-winged dragon beetle's body. A huge amount of soul power gathered from the soul ring and flowed into Wang Feng's body. When the soul power entered the soul ring, Wang Feng was slightly happy. It seemed like the direct way of thinking was not wrong. After being burned by the Hellfire of the blood-wing, the soul of the dragon beetle was much weaker. The soul power in the soul ring did not have too much of a violent aura. It was not enough to destroy his spirit and soul in one go. It was also enough for the Black Lotus and the Dark Angel Martial Soul to absorb a little. Wang Feng first controlled the Black Lotus to absorb the remaining soul consciousness of the dragon beetle in the soul ring. After absorbing enough energy, Wang Feng summoned the Dark Angel Martial Soul again and continued to absorb the soul consciousness in the soul ring. Vaguely, Wang Feng felt the first pair of wings on the back of the Dark Angel Martial Soul become slightly brighter. Next, Wang Feng began to absorb the soul ring's energy. Majestic soul power crashed around in his body. Fortunately, the meteoric tear was also effective at this time. In addition to this huge amount of soul power, because the dragon beetle's soul had been burned by the red lotus karmic fire, and with the increase of spiritual power from the skull, Wang Feng could actually control this huge amount of soul power. Moreover, Wang Feng's current physical fitness was comparable to a rank 70 soul master, so it was much better for him to absorb the soul power than before. It had to be said that the red lotus also had the benefits of body tempering. End of this chapter. Chapter 254. Under such conditions, Wang Feng's absorption was still considered successful. Every part of his body had become increasingly tough and sparkling after going through the circulation of this enormous amount of energy. And the green lotus in his sea of consciousness also slowly bloomed. Most of the energy in the soul ring rapidly flowed into the stem. The stem transformed into the god-slaying spear and slowly absorbed this terrifying energy. Gradually, the originally somewhat blunt spear blade became cold and thick, incomparably sharp. The ancient and strange patterns on the spear body also emitted a faint glow. Until most of the soul ring's energy was absorbed, the soul-devouring spear underwent a transformation. The spear blade and the spear body seemed to have been reforged, becoming the real god-slaying spear. The pitch-black soul ring revolved around this god-slaying spear, bringing with it a slightly forest-like and ruthless aura, perfectly complementing this god-slaying spear. Waves of purplish-black demonic aura revolved around the spear body, and the entire spear emitted an extremely ferocious aura. Compared to the simple and unadorned look from before, at this moment, it was even more like a sharp blade, with a menacing aura. Those who were timid would probably faint with just a single glance. Who knew how powerful the improvement was? And the remaining small amount of soul power was absorbed by Wang Feng to increase his soul power. His level shot up in a straight line. Wang Feng felt that it was almost at rank 44 before it gradually stopped. F***ck, why is it at this level? Wang Feng really opened his eyes and couldn't help but shake his head. This number was too inauspicious. However, it had to be said that the energy of this 60,000-year soul ring was indeed enormous. Most of it was absorbed by the god-slaying spear and evolved into a mature form. A small portion was absorbed by him, and he also rose to rank 4. Thinking about it, it was quite normal. Who would absorb a 60,000-year soul ring at rank 40? Ordinary rank 70 soul masters could only absorb around 50,000-year soul rings. When they broke through, with Wang Feng's current progress in compressing and purifying his soul power, absorbing a small portion was enough to raise his rank 4. One could imagine how abnormal these 60,000-year soul rings were. Soul ring appear. Wang Feng suddenly opened his eyes. The sharp light in his eyes seemed to have condensed into a substance as it flashed past. Obtaining a 60,000-year soul ring and raising his rank was an all-round improvement for him. Each of the previous forms would have an improvement. The god-slaying spear's change was naturally the greatest. This was because when it first took form, the god-slaying spear was similar to a newborn, the kind that hadn't been forged. But now that it had matured, it was equivalent to being forged. A cold glint was revealed. 4 pitch-black soul rings slowly lit up on Wang Feng's body. Each one was darker than the last. God-slaying spear. Wang Feng clenched his fist. Black-purple demonic chi revolved around him, and a long spear with a black glint and a cold maple was instantly grasped. So strong. The moment he grasped it, Wang Feng couldn't help but exclaim. The main thing was that the current god-slaying spear looked much better than before. Especially after activating his soul power, the spear's body was simple and unadorned. The inscriptions flickered with a bright black light, and the spear's sharp edges glinted with a piercing cold light. Although I don't know how powerful the clear sky hammer is, it won't be stronger than the god-slaying spear. Wang Feng felt that if he used the Dark Angel martial soul now, with the two added together, he would be able to exterminate that 20,000-year wild flaming howling sky tiger with just one move. He wouldn't give it any chance to escape. There's still a soul skill. Wang Feng closed his eyes and sensed for a moment. Suddenly, blood-colored veined patterns surged out from the spear's body. The originally pitch-black spear had an additional bloody aura, and it looked even more dazzling. This soul skill, Wang Feng was shocked. The blood-winged dragon beetle was a ferocious soul beast that was good at offense, defense, and speed. The most frightening thing was its blood, which could cause soul masters to go crazy and then absorb the energy in their bodies for its own use. It was considered an extremely evil and powerful soul beast. It's a soul skill that's good at both offense and defense. Wang Feng inhaled slightly. He suddenly looked behind him and realized that he actually had two more wings. Wings filled with blood-colored energy. The aura on his body was greatly enhanced. Wang Feng casually waved his hand, and the soul-slaying spear shot out a terrifying blood-colored light. A violent explosion directly came from afar. Countless blood-colored light fused into the ground, absorbing the energy of the microorganisms on the ground. It can also fly. Wang Feng used his soul power to control the wings, and his whole body slowly rose into the sky. All the attributes of my body have been increased by more than one time, and my attack power has been increased by more than 2 times. I have blood wings that can fly, and the soul-slaying spear's attacks have a blood-devouring effect. I also have long-range attacks. Wang Feng was secretly amazed. This was an all-around strengthening soul skill. It wasn't just a simple soul skill. It was similar to the effect of martial soul true body possession. But a 6-year myriad soul beast was indeed extraordinary. And its flying speed wasn't slow. It was much faster than Wang Feng's running speed. And the blood-devouring effect was similar to the blood-winged dragon beetle's blood, which could make the enemy go crazy and devour the enemy's soul power to strengthen oneself. Let's call my 4th soul skill, soul-devouring blood wings? Wang Feng thought for a while. The ability to fly was Wang Feng's biggest gain. It meant that he could fight in the air. It's a pity that the Chaos Green Lotus's different forms can only be used one by one, and not at the same time. Wang Feng sighed softly. Otherwise, with the soul-slaying spear in one hand and the Black Lotus of Annihilation in the other, he might really look like the demon ancestor Ra. Wait, there seems to be something? Wang Feng looked at the carcass of the blood-winged dragon beetle. The soul ring disappeared, and as the karmic fire of the red lotus burned, the huge carcass quickly turned into ashes. But among the corpses, there was a sparkling soul bone. Wang Feng was stunned. He didn't expect the blood-winged dragon beetle to have a soul bone. It shouldn't be. With the power of this blood-winged dragon beetle, it shouldn't have a soul bone. Could it be? Wang Feng's heart moved, and he walked over to look at the shining soul bone. It looks like a skull? Wang Feng looked at it. This soul bone had a spine, a sternum, and looked like a torso bone. It was emitting a blood-red crystalline color. An unexpected gain, Wang Feng thought. He didn't rush to absorb the blood-winged dragon beetle's torso bone. Instead, he put it into his soul tool. A 60,000-year soul bone was extraordinary, but now that his strength had increased greatly, he needed some time to adapt to it. This torso bone and his mysterious underworld armor didn't overlap, because the mysterious underworld armor was an external soul bone. We'll see when the time comes. This blood-winged dragon beetle's torso bone should be very strong. But I still need to adapt to my current strength first. Wang Feng shook his head. During this trip, his strength had increased tremendously. After absorbing a 60,000-year soul ring, just the quality of his body had increased by a large amount again. At least, Wang Feng was confident that he could escape from a tidal Dalu. If he took out his Pangu axe, he could even put up a fight against a slightly weaker tidal Dalu. If the soul-slaying spear was included in the 5th gear, his chances of winning against a soul Douluo were very high. If it was a very strong soul Douluo, he might not be able to win, but he might not lose either. If it was the Pangu axe, no one below the title Douluo level would be able to survive. But in the title Douluo level, the difference between each level is very big. Wang Feng shook his head. The difference between each level of title Douluo could be said to be like heaven and earth. If it was a level 99 peerless Douluo, Wang Feng reckoned that he would have to be at least level 70 to have a chance of winning, and level 80 to be able to win. But this was only an estimate. He would only know when he reached that level. Furthermore, this estimate was only based on what Wang Feng had now. There were still many forms of the Chaos Green Lotus that hadn't bloomed yet. Most importantly, Wang Feng still hadn't added soul rings to his other 2 martial souls. End of this chapter. Chapter 255. First, he was afraid he wouldn't be able to bear it. Because of the triplet spirit, with each additional spirit ring, the strength the body had to bear was hard to imagine. This was also why Tang Houan Grandmaster didn't let Tang San add spirit rings to the clear sky hammer in the early stages. It was basically unbearable. This Pangu axe was so powerful, Wang Feng didn't even know what spirit ring to give it. Moreover, Pangu axe's own form didn't need to evolve to grow, different from the primal Chaos Green Lotus. The primal Chaos Green Lotus wasn't mature, so it could transform into various forms according to its spirit power rank, and each form was also not mature. Therefore it needed spirit rings. But Pangu axe only needed spirit power to be infused, and could bear its strength, then it could be used. Its might was completely related to the strength of one's physical constitution and spirit power. Pangu axe also didn't need any fancy spirit abilities. Wang Feng felt that one chop was enough. Returning to the most fundamental strength, just like the scene Wang Feng had seen when Pangu used this axe to split heaven and earth, simple and straightforward. Adding spirit rings to the Pangu axe's strength would probably only increase by a little. As for the Dark Angel Martial Soul, when his spirit power was a little higher, he could try adding spirit rings to it. This was also Wang Feng's plan. After thinking about everything, Wang Feng once again took out a black robe and mask from the soul tool and put it on. Because he knew that using Pangu axe would tear his clothes, Wang Feng naturally made ample preparations. It's about time to leave. Wait, this aura, it seems to be the Titan Giant Ape? Ming? Wang Feng suddenly looked in a certain direction in astonishment. After thinking for a while, Wang Feng quickly ran in that direction. Dong dong dong. At the same time, Qian Rinshue's location. Right now, Qian Rinshue was sitting cross-legged, absorbing that wild flame Howling Sky Tiger's spirit ring. And Meng Xinji's trio were currently standing in front of Qian Rinshue in a triangular formation. Unfortunately, Qian Rinshue currently didn't open her eyes, and didn't see the 3's frightened expressions. The 3 spirit Douluo were incomparably nervous. Their faces were covered in cold sweat. Because in front of them, a Titan Giant Ape the size of a small mountain was looking at them. From the central lake, he had gone around in circles, coming out to take a look according to his big brother's intentions. But he hadn't expected that not long after coming out, that beam of light would vanish, disappeared. Then he'd just keep going around. In this turn, he'd first run into these humans in front of him. Right now, looking at the 3 spirit Douluo human powerhouses, Ming was somewhat dazed. What should I do? Should I kill them? This way, I'll have an explanation when I return. It's better not to kill them. Big Brother taught me that I can't casually kill. Moreover, that wild flame Howling Sky Tiger itself is restless, often slaughtering in the forest. Thinking, the Titan Giant Ape lifted its foot, planning to leave. But at this time, protect His Highness. Control him. Meng Xinji's eyes suddenly opened wide, thinking that this Titan Giant Ape was planning to stomp down, so he suddenly shouted. Hearing this, Jilin's sky azure vine was like a mountain creeper, instantly growing all over the Titan giant ape's body, controlling the Titan giant eye's body. Bai Baoshan's heavenly star furnace directly released a huge light shield, enveloping the four people. The Titan giant ape. I wanted to let you go, but you actually dare hit me? He was enraged. Then the three people started fighting. The 60,000-year-old Titan giant ape, as one of the overlords of this Star Do great forest, its strength was naturally terrifying. Fortunately, Meng Xinji's trio were all spirit Douluo, and moreover belonged to a dual control plus defense combination. Although their attack power wasn't strong, their restraining power was extremely frightening. Especially Bai Baoshan's heavenly star furnace, which could be said to have blocked the majority of the Titan giant ape's attack. Adding in Meng Xinji's black demon spirit, as well as Jilin's sky azure vine spirit, for a short time it could be considered a draw. Neither could do anything to the other. However, the more they fought, the more excited the Titan giant ape became. A light shield could be seen over the three people's heads, precisely by Baoshan's heavenly star furnace. Each of the Titan giant ape's attacks landed on this light shield, smashing out one ripple after another. We can't beat it. Meng Xinji's complexion paled slightly. This beast's attack power is too strong, already far surpassing that of ordinary 60,000-year spirit beasts. I'm afraid in another incense stick of time, Baoshan's heavenly star furnace true body will be broken. Our control against him is very ineffective for the most part. An ordinary 100-year Titan giant ape could contend against a 10,000-year Titan giant ape, let alone a 60,000-year Titan giant ape. Even if a title Douluo was here, they might not necessarily be able to beat it. Although the three of them were spirit Douluo, it was unknown how far they were from a genuine title Douluo. How could we run into this beast? Titan giant ape. But His Highness is currently at the crucial point of absorbing the spirit ring. We can't leave so easily, otherwise we will definitely suffer from the spirit ring's backlash. Jilin's complexion was also incomparably bad. Just a blood-winged dragon beetle before was fine, but now even this Titan giant ape was unexpectedly encountered. Was his luck this bad? Ka. At this time, the light barrier formed by the heavenly star furnace had already begun to crack. You too, lend me a bit of your soul power. Bai Baoshan shouted in a low voice. We have to at least hold on until His Highness wakes up, then we can retreat. Meng Xinji and Jilin nodded, then walked behind Bai Baoshan and slowly poured their soul power inside. Dong dong dong. Violent sounds suddenly echoed. With each step of the Titan giant ape, the trio's complexion paled a bit more. The Titan giant ape was just like a little child, looking at ants on the ground and stomping on them excitedly. At this time, Qian Rinshue's eyes flickered slightly. At this rate, even if His Highness wakes up, we also can't leave. The trio became increasingly anxious in their hearts, their complexions also becoming increasingly worse. But Qian Rinshue still did not wake up. Dong. The light barrier suddenly shattered. The trio's complexion changed, and they fiercely vomited a mouthful of blood. Right at this time, a cold light brimming with a sinister and ferocious aura suddenly shot over from a distance. The Titan giant ape seemed to have also sensed this cold light, and it had some apprehension in its heart, subconsciously taking a step back. Clang! A long spear was placed horizontally in front of the trio, blocking the Titan giant ape's footsteps. The spear body emitted a black aura flame, curling up and rising. The trio was shocked, and they felt slightly dizzy as they glanced at the spear due to their injuries. Immediately after, a hoarse voice was heard. Little ape, I'll fight with you. Come with me. The trio turned their gazes towards the distance when they heard this, and they saw a mysterious man in a black robe and a white mask. At this moment, he had a pair of blood-red wings on his back, and he floated silently in midair. The Titan giant ape was obviously attracted by this, and its gaze descended onto the mysterious black-robed man. Then it walked over. Meanwhile, the black-robed man turned his hand, and the terrifying spear that was covered in blood-red patterns and emitted a ferocious aura instantly returned to the mysterious black-robed man's hand. The trio heaved sighs of relief when they saw this. "Many thanks to Senior for lending a hand? May I know Senior's name?" Meng Shenji shouted loudly. This mysterious black-robed man only had a single pitch-black spirit ring. They couldn't see its rank, but presumably he used some special method to conceal it. But he was definitely very strong. Just the blood-fiendish aura emitted by that spear just now made the trio's hearts palpitate. However, that black-robed man didn't answer. With a slight flap of his blood wings, he instantly disappeared from where he stood. And the Titan giant ape behind him also patted its chest, roared a few times, and followed after this figure. There's still more at night. End of this chapter. Chapter 256. The three watched the Titan giant ape leave with that mysterious black-robed man just like that. For a moment they were all a bit dazed. Then the three all went limp in place, cold sweat pouring down. "So dangerous, so dangerous," Meng Shenji muttered. "If not for that mysterious senior, I'm afraid we would all have died here in a few days." The Titan giant apes' strength far surpassed their imagination. Star Do Great Forest's overlord. They were also famous figures in the Spirit Master world. How could they not have heard of it? Only seeing it with their own eyes did they feel it was so frightening. "I feel that the Titan giant ape probably didn't want to kill us, otherwise." Bai Baoshan coughed up a few mouthfuls of blood, speaking in a low voice. His heavenly star furnace had acted as a defense just now, and could most clearly feel the Titan giant ape's strength, each kick stronger than the last. It had more of a kind of playful meaning. "No matter what, we're considered saved." Jilin laughed bitterly a few times. "I just don't know who that mysterious senior is. He didn't even leave his name. Only that spear. That spear, the aura it emitted was too terrifying." Looking at it, they felt as if their souls were trembling. Although the three of them were seriously injured at that time, and their minds were unstable, they still felt it was extremely frightening. "I've never seen a spear-type spirit emitting that kind of fiendish aura." Meng Shenji's mind recalled the Spirit Master world's powerhouses, but none of them matched. Moreover, I can't see its rank. But to be able to attract that Titan giant ape's attention, its strength is very strong. The three discussed for a while. At this time, Qian Renshua woke up. "You three, what's the situation with you?" Qian Renshua looked at the three, asking with a frown. These three were currently paralyzed on the ground, the image of Spirit Douluo completely gone, as if they had fought a great battle. Could it be that the blood-winged dragon beetle had come to find them again? Meng Shenji's trio looked at each other, shaking their heads with a wry smile. They told Qian Renshua what had happened just now. After listening, Qian Renshua was silent. "Titan giant ape?" Qian Renshua's tone was still calm. "How could we encounter such a spirit beast?" "Hold on, you said you were just saved by a senior wearing a black robe and a white mask?" Meng Shenji nodded. "This senior's strength is tyrannical. His spirit is an extremely fiendish blood-red spear. Black robe, white mask, voice hoarse. His strength is very strong. That spear came from a distance and fell in front of us, attracting the Titan giant ape's attention." Speaking up to here, Meng Shenji sighed lightly. "If we had come any later, even if this Titan giant ape didn't kill us, I'm afraid the three of us and your highness's fate would have been very miserable." After listening, Qian Renshua was startled. "Black robe, white mask, spear, was it you?" Qian Renshua looked in the direction Meng Shenji pointed. There was a special passage formed by the Titan giant ape walking over there. "Feng Yuxiu, was it you who saved me again?" Qian Renshua muttered in a low voice. She wanted to follow him now, wanted to know what happened afterwards. Would that Titan giant ape kill him? It shouldn't. He had a spirit ability that could block the aura of a 60,000-year spirit beast. He should be able to escape, right? But how could he appear here? Don't tell me he's been following me all along. Qian Rinxue's heart shook slightly, shaking her head. How could that be possible? I don't even know him. He saved me once, there's no reason for him to save me a second time. Besides, I'm a man right now. That's just a coincidence. Thinking of this, Qian Rinxue's heart was somewhat complicated. Your Highness, you wouldn't be thinking of going over to take a look, right? Meng Xinji looked at Qian Rinxue's gaze and jumped in fright, hurriedly dissuading her. Your Highness, we will repay this senior's great kindness when we have the chance. But right now it's still best to leave as soon as possible. Besides, there's no use for just the few of us going. Even a titled Douluo wouldn't be able to defeat that Titan giant ape. Qian Rinxue nodded slightly. She wasn't that stupid. How could she really go? With their strength, they wouldn't even be able to escape if they went. On the contrary, it would only add to the trouble. Feng Yuxiu. Feng Yuxiu. Qian Rinxue inwardly recited a few words, her heart somewhat marvelous. The reaction from 7 years ago had led to their meeting today, and she had even been saved twice in a row. I hope you can leave Star Do Great Forest. I believe we will meet again. Qian Rinxue looked deeply into the depths of the forest, her heart unexpectedly somewhat worried, as well as faintly discernible anticipation. Little gorilla, you can't catch up, so jump to hit me. In midair, Wang Feng held the soul-slaying spear in his hand, the blood wings on his back flapping, drawing streaks of blood-colored light in midair. And behind him, the Titan giant ape was running on all fours, its speed similarly not inferior, but it was somewhat unable to catch up to Wang Feng. That human brat seemed a little familiar. Scurrying around like a housefly, this made the Titan giant ape somewhat angry. It suddenly roared furiously, only to see that the surrounding air seemed to have been increased by more than 10 times the gravity, becoming incomparably heavy. Wang Feng also staggered, feeling that his body had suddenly become several times heavier. His flying speed instantly slowed down. Domain? What's that? Wang Feng groaned, directly concealing the Xianming armor, and only then did his speed return to normal. Seeing this, that Titan giant ape opened its eyes wide and roared furiously again. An even more terrifying power directly crushed the void. Crackling sounds of explosions could be heard in the air. F***CK, this can't really be a domain, right? Wang Feng suddenly thought of something. He felt his body become a little heavier, as if this mountain was pressing down on him, and his speed became much slower, but he didn't fall from the sky. It was just that in this domain, Wang Feng felt as if all the bones and muscles in his body were being compressed. Divinization! Wang Feng roared, and the soul-slaying spear disappeared. He quickly descended, the golden lotus blossoming, and his divinization's soul skill appeared again. The boost of 4 times his attributes made his body feel a little more relaxed. The Titan giant ape looked at Wang Feng. Eat my spear. Before he landed on the ground, Wang Feng summoned the soul-slaying spear again, and immediately used his 4th soul skill, soul-devouring blood wings. His attributes increased explosively again. A trace of blood flashed in Wang Feng's eyes, and he directly attacked the Titan giant ape. Seeing Wang Feng attack, the Titan giant ape wasn't shocked, but happy instead. This little fly seemed to be quite powerful. Indeed, Wang Feng was currently in the Titan giant ape's gravity domain, and with the boost of various attributes, the heaviness he felt was greatly reduced, and he barely returned to his normal state. Roar! The Titan giant ape punched at Wang Feng. That huge fist was like a mountain, and compared to it, Wang Feng was more like a pebble. The two collided. Wang Feng was directly sent flying as if he had been punched. The Titan giant ape didn't even move. The difference in strength between the two was too big. In addition, in the gravity domain, Wang Feng's strength was greatly reduced, and it was like punching in water, the strength was greatly reduced. Bang bang bang. Wang Feng consecutively smashed through dozens of trees, and then slowly stopped falling. Damn, isn't this too strong? Wang Feng looked at the path that he had been blasted through, and countless trees were broken on both sides. I've really become arrogant. I actually wanted to exchange blows with this 100,000-year Air Ming. Wang Feng coughed a few times. He didn't suffer any injuries, and his body was just a little shaken. Suddenly, the corner of Wang Feng's mouth also revealed a trace of a strange smile. However, this spear of mine will always be able to injure you. This is the soul-slaying spear. No matter how indestructible you are, these small wounds will slowly accumulate, and it will be able to make you wish you were dead. Roar, roar. Seeing that the fly that Wang Feng couldn't catch up with was sent flying with a single punch, the Titan giant ape was as happy as a 300-kilogram child, and madly patted its chest that was like a black rock. Thump 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 thump. End of this chapter. Chapter 257. Wang Feng stretched his body and flew into the air again, facing the Titan giant ape. Wang Feng could also clearly see that there was another small wound on the Titan ape's hand. It wasn't big. To the Titan giant ape, this kind of wound was like a mosquito bite to an ordinary person. It didn't think much of it. Come again, little ape, Wang Feng shouted. He knew that the Titan giant ape didn't have much killing intent. Come on, do you think I'm afraid of you? The Titan giant ape spoke human language and charged at Wang Feng. Wang Feng was stunned when he heard this, because it was obviously much smoother than the blood-winged draconic beetle from before. Then, the two of them fought. Boom boom boom. The entire forest seemed to be sent flying by these two figures. Countless trees were smashed into pieces by Wang Feng's body. The Titan giant ape felt that it was having a good time. It had been a long time since it had felt so good. This little fly's strength isn't bad, and it can take a beating. I punched him again and again, sending him flying. It's a good thing that this little fly can take a beating. If it were a human soul master, he would probably be dead after a few punches. Big Brother will definitely scold me then. As the overlord of the great Star Do Forest, the Titan giant ape rarely had such a good time. However, why do I feel a little tired? The Titan giant ape was stunned. It felt that it was full of energy, but why did it deplete so quickly? It punched the little fly again and sent it flying. The Titan giant ape suddenly looked at its palms, and realized that they were covered in wounds. With its body's regenerative abilities, such small wounds should have healed in an instant, but it seems like they're getting bigger and bigger? This little fly seems to be poisonous. Wang Feng flew up again. On the contrary, he was full of energy. The more he fought, the more energetic he became. Although the soul-slaying spear couldn't cause large areas of damage to the Titan giant ape, every wound couldn't be healed. Even the Titan giant ape couldn't heal. Furthermore, under the state of his fourth soul skill, his attacks with the soul-slaying spear had the effect of devouring blood. The more wounds his opponent had, the more energy he could absorb. The more he fought, the more soul power he could absorb. On the contrary, the Titan giant ape felt that something was wrong. However, this Air Ming's vitality is too strong. If this continues, even if I fight for an entire day, I might not be able to exhaust him to death. Wang Feng shook his head. He hadn't activated his Dark Angel Martial Soul yet. He was already at the 5th level. He had used the soul power of his Golden Lotus to increase his soul power to rank 48. Other than his karmic fire, it was his strongest offensive state other than his Pengu Axe and Dark Angel Martial Soul. However, the damage he could do to the Titan giant ape was limited. An ordinary rank 80 assault-type soul master might not be able to hurt this Titan giant ape. Back then, Zhao Wuji, who was at rank 76, was sent flying by this Titan giant ape in a few moves. The Titan giant ape was completely fine. This was even when Zhao Wuji had activated his martial soul true body. I'm so angry. The Titan giant ape looked at the wounds on his hands and roared angrily. He felt a little dizzy and knew that this was definitely the cause of these wounds. This wound contained a terrifying fiendish blood aura that made it impossible for him to heal. If this continued, he would be exhausted to death sooner or later. The little fly's strength seems to have exceeded my expectations, the Titan giant ape thought to himself. Although it was a little simple and honest, it wasn't stupid. Wang Feng. The Titan giant ape's body suddenly shone brightly, and its aura increased greatly. It didn't want to play anymore. If it continued to play, it would probably fall into this little fly's trap. Furthermore, the pain from the wounds on his hands made it a little unhappy. Wang Feng stared at it with wide eyes. Is it going to go all out? Damn, is it for real? If it's for real, then it won't be fun anymore. Wait. Seeing this, Wang Feng hurriedly shouted, I'm Xiao Wu's friend. The Titan giant ape was suddenly stunned. Wang Feng hurriedly removed the mask and hood on his head. In the next moment, the Titan giant ape let out a furious roar, and its body shone brightly as it pounced toward Wang Feng. Little brother, what's wrong with you? I've already revealed my identity, and you're still coming? We're all on the same side. Wang Feng's heart shook, and he quickly activated the Black Lotus, and the Xianming armor was directly attached to his body. The Black Lotus instantly formed an incomparably pitch-black light shield. Boom! The Titan giant ape's huge body directly crashed into the light shield. However, this time, the light shield didn't shatter. A year ago, when the Black Lotus had just appeared, it could only block the Titan giant ape for less than 3 seconds. But now the Black Lotus had a mature 10,000-year soul ring, and he had obtained an external soul bone that strengthened his body's constitution. During this period, he had also been strengthened by the meteoric tear several times, and he had also consumed 6 godly medicines. Apart from his brain and sternum, his entire body had been tempered by the red lotus karmic fire, and he was incomparably strong. Now, he had reached rank 44, and he had obtained his 4th soul ring, a 60,000-year soul ring. 3 seconds? He probably wouldn't be able to shatter it even after 30 seconds. Wang Feng hadn't used the Black Lotus to defend himself just now, because he wanted to let the Titan giant ape fight him head-on, so that the soul-slaying spear could injure him and lower his opponent's guard. Naturally, he had to use the Black Lotus to defend himself now. Wang Feng stood in the center of the enormous light barrier, and his entire body was forced back by the Titan giant ape's terrifying strength. Why was Wang Feng so confident that he could escape from a titled Doulu? It was because of the Black Lotus's powerful defensive abilities. More than 20 seconds later, the Black Lotus light shield began to show signs of cracking. The surrounding ground was directly pressed by Wang Feng's light shield, forming a long trench. Turn! Wang Feng shouted in a low voice, and the Black Lotus's stored energy surged out in a frenzy, mending the cracks in the black barrier. After holding on for close to a minute, the Black Lotus's energy was completely used up, and the light barrier finally cracked. After the light barrier was broken, the Titan giant ape punched at Wang Feng. Boom! The punch landed squarely on Wang Feng's chest. Wang Feng's expression changed, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, the Titan giant ape also shook violently, and was pushed back a few steps by a tremendous force. Its lantern-sized eyes stared at the little fly in shock. At this moment, in the distance, a huge figure suddenly appeared in midair. Ming, stop! A trembling voice rang out. This voice reminded Wang Feng of the voices in the Great Hall on TV. A voice could echo, and it was unusually loud. The Titan giant ape rubbed its head, but didn't attack. It snorted and then rubbed its palms. This wound couldn't be healed, and it was getting more and more painful, and it was even affecting its consciousness. It was very annoying. Sky Blue Bull Python? Wang Feng wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and looked at the huge figure, his heart trembling. Unknowingly, They had actually fought here? However, although the Titan giant ape's punch had injured Wang Feng, it wasn't very serious. A few of his ribs were broken, but it wasn't a big deal. With his body, he would recover very quickly. It was just that the spirit power consumption was a little exaggerated. Human, you're Xiao Wu's friend? The sky blue bull python looked at the tiny human below, a trace of seriousness flashing through its eyes. Wang Feng nodded. I'm called Wang Feng, Xiao Wu should have told you. But in his heart he thought that this Air Ming was still too strong, completely defeating him. With the black lotus broken, he could only run. The sky blue bull python swept a glance over Wang Feng, then looked at the Titan giant ape, and said in a low voice, "Just now you announced your identity, wanting Air Ming to let you go. That means you know Air Ming's identity. Since that's the case, why did you fight with him, provoking his anger?" End of this chapter. Chapter 258. Wang Feng coughed a few times and without hiding anything said, "I just want to ask Xiao Wu's friend for some pointers." Besides that, just now he promptly rushed over to save Meng Xinji's trio, which could also be considered returning the favor in Heaven Do Imperial Academy. After all, at that time the trio released pressure, letting him advance 3 ranks, and later when they encountered Prince Xuexing, he still came out to protect them. Ask for some pointers? Humph. The sky blue bull python snorted coldly, a powerful pressure directly suppressing Wang Feng. However, Wang Feng had already used a divinized spirit ability, and adding the mental strength of the black hoop spirit skull, he was already immune to this pressure, otherwise he might have been shaken until vomiting blood. You're interesting, human. The sky blue bull python looked at this human with bewilderment. Since when did human youths become so strong? Even the pressure of 100,000-year spirit beast actually had no effect on this kid. The sky blue bull python turned to look at the Titan giant ape. I know this kid. The Titan giant ape said in a low, muffled voice, more than a year ago, it was him who held me back. I don't know what move he used just now, but my wounds couldn't heal. Big brother, look. I was so angry I wanted to beat him up, I didn't want to kill him. But just now I was held back again. So uncomfortable, big brother. The Titan giant ape's last punch landed on Wang Feng's body, breaking a few of Wang Feng's ribs. However, the Titan giant ape had also suffered injuries from the rebound. Compared to being held back by the Black Lotus light barrier, it was probably even more uncomfortable. This was because the mysterious nether armor reflected 150% of the damage, and there was a 20% reduction. The sky blue bull python looked at the injuries on the Titan giant ape's palms, and his eyes, which were bigger than 4 or 5 soccer balls, were extremely serious. What a terrifying blood-fiendish aura. The sky blue bull python spat out a ball of light, which landed on the Titan giant ape's palms. However, when this ball of light landed on the Titan giant ape's palms, it didn't heal the wounds. It could only be said that it was suppressed. Air Ming, this wound of yours can only be suppressed, it may not heal. The sky blue bull python's pupils shrank. What caused this wound? He actually couldn't heal it? With that said, the sky blue bull python looked at Wang Feng, his eyes slightly cold. You can go. Seeing that you are Xiao Wu's friend, I will pretend that today's matter didn't happen. The sky blue bull python said in a low voice. Wang Feng coughed a few times and said, Well, your brother's wound was caused by me, I can naturally heal it. Don't worry. He just wanted to see the effect of this soul-slaying spear. It seemed that this soul-slaying spear was really powerful. No matter how small the wound caused, it couldn't heal, and could only barely suppress it. Moreover, as time passed, the wound would definitely worsen. Suppressing it would also take a lot of soul power, and for a long time, it would definitely affect his strength. You can heal it? The sky blue bull python looked at Wang Feng with uncertainty. The Titan giant ape also turned around to look at Wang Feng, its huge body giving people a very strong sense of oppression. Of course. Wang Feng walked to the Titan giant ape's side, the golden lotus in his hand spinning slightly, exuding a vigorous life force. This is... The sky blue bull python looked at the golden lotus in Wang Feng's hand and vaguely sensed a special power that shocked even him. However, the sky blue bull python still looked at Wang Feng cautiously. "Help me recover, and I won't be angry anymore," Erming said. Wang Feng activated the golden lotus, and a golden light fell into Erming's hands. Suddenly, Erming let out a series of roars. In an instant, the sky blue bull python was shocked. He said angrily, "Erming, what's wrong? Is it him?" "No, big brother, I feel so good." The sky blue bull python. Wang Feng watched intently as the golden light enveloped Erming's hands, and the wounds on his hands healed at a rate visible to the naked eye. In just a few moments they had completely recovered. "It's just as I thought. The healing ability of the golden lotus is far beyond my imagination. It's not just normal healing. Even these special wounds, even wounds caused by the soul-slaying spear, can be healed." Wang Feng heaved a sigh of relief. After all, they were both manifestations of the chaotic green lotus. In other words, they were born from the same mother, so they could naturally complement each other. As their soul power rank increased, their abilities would naturally also become more powerful. After the Titan giant ape recovered, it was once again full of energy. "Come on, let's fight another 300 rounds," the Titan giant ape said to Wang Feng. "Since you can recover, I don't have to worry about you hurting me anymore." "Don't worry, I won't hurt you either." Wang Feng was speechless. This Erming was a battle maniac. On the other hand, the sky blue bull python said to Wang Feng, "Thank you." Wang Feng smiled and waved his hand. "No need. I was the one who caused these wounds. Furthermore, Xiao Wu and I are friends." Wang Feng's heart skipped a beat as he spoke. Since he could meet Deming and Erming in advance, why not cultivate in the Great Star Do Forest for a few months? He could also spar with Erming. Although he couldn't beat Erming, he could still use him as a sparring partner to unleash his potential. In addition, Erming was Xiao Wu's friend and wouldn't kill him. He could be considered a perfect sparring partner. This was equivalent to having a title Douluo sparring partner, and he didn't even need money. Thinking to this point, Wang Feng smiled at the Titan giant ape and said, "All right, I might stay in the Great Star Do Forest for a few months. If you want to fight me, come at me. But don't be serious." Hearing this, the Titan giant ape was immediately overjoyed and nodded repeatedly. This little fly could take his attack. He would be able to hit it hard. If it could stay and play with him, that would be great. Wang Feng could see that this Erming was actually the same as Xiao Wu. He seemed to have lived for a long time, but he was probably about 16 or 17 years old. On the other hand, this sky blue bull python was much more mature. Seeing this, the sky blue bull python didn't say anything else. Just like this, Wang Feng spent the remaining few months in the Great Star Do Forest cultivating. While fighting with the Titan giant ape, he cultivated and increased his soul power at the same time. 5 months later, in the center of the Great Star Do Forest, in the middle of a lake, "Little lunatic, come out and fight. Today, I'm going to beat the crap out of you," the Titan giant ape roared from the lakeside. Half a year didn't change anything to him. At this moment, the sky blue bull python emerged from the lake and said in a low voice, "Erming, he's already left today." Hearing this, the Titan giant ape was suddenly stunned. Because every day at this time, he would come to find that little lunatic to fight, and it could be said that half of the Great Star Do Forest was in chaos. This half a year was also the most enjoyable half a year he had ever fought. Furthermore, the more he fought, the more Erming felt that his strength had increased a little. Why did he leave? Erming sat down on the ground, his voice a little dejected. "I didn't hurt him in this half a year. You can't hurt him either, the sky blue bull python said. The Titan giant ape smashed 2 holes in the ground with its fists. I didn't dare to use my full strength, but it seems like I can't hurt him either. Big brother, do you think he's really a human? Why do I feel like he's more durable than us soul beasts? He's even more durable than those 60 to 70,000 year soul beasts. Chapter 259. The Sky Azure Bull Python was silent for a moment and didn't say anything. During this half a year, that human youth had given him far too many surprises. His martial soul skills, battle experience, and the speed of his growth, all of them had far exceeded his imagination. In the beginning, that youth had told Ming to unleash his gravity domain with all his might. A month ago, Ming had beaten him to the point where he couldn't even crawl up. When Ming unleashed his gravity domain with all his might, even those 80 or 90,000 year soul beasts had to obediently lay on the ground and take his beatings. Ming very rarely used his gravity domain against human soul masters. He would only use it a little, but not all of it. It was the same during his first battle with that youth. But from the second month onwards, that youth began to improve rapidly. He could move freely even within Ming's gravity domain. In the third month, Ming's gravity domain was unstoppable to him. Later on, he even asked him to use his slowing domain, but the Sky Azure Bull Python didn't use it. In this half a year, even though that youth still couldn't beat Ming, he was able to hold on for longer and longer. Towards the end, Ming even had to use 70 to 80% of his strength to beat that kid. At first, he even berated Ming. How could he let him injure him? But this youth said he was the one who asked for it, but he seems to only be a 45th rank human soul master. The Sky Azure Bull Python was somewhat at a loss. Could it be that this human youth was already strong to this extent? If that's the case, how will we spirit beasts survive in the future? A 45th rank human soul master required 80% of Ming's strength to defeat him. Oh right, he also gave you a present. At this moment, the Sky Azure Bull Python pulled out a large and thick staff that was more than 10 meters long from the lake. What's this? The Titan giant ape's eyes lit up as it looked at the staff. The staff seemed to have been polished, and there were all kinds of patterns carved into it. It was rather ancient, and when it looked at it, it felt like holding it in its hands and playing with it. Ahem, this is a huge piece of golden astral rock that he found in this lake. After that, he discussed with me and polished it. He said that he wanted to give you a surprise. The Sky Azure Bull Python said. He said that you would like this staff a lot. As it spoke, the Sky Azure Bull Python tossed the staff to the Titan giant ape with its tail. The Titan giant ape leaped up and caught the staff with both palms. The moment it caught it, it was suddenly abnormally excited. As if it was born with this understanding, it began to play with the staff in its hands. It spun with a whirring sound. The staff was like a rainbow. Its aura skyrocketed. Fun, fun. I like this gift so much. The Titan giant ape was extremely happy. As it played with the staff, it jumped up and down, causing the ground to tremble. The Sky Azure Bull Python also watched with amazement. He could clearly feel that when Ming held the staff, his aura skyrocketed several times. This kind of skyrocketing aura brought about a real increase in strength. Could it be that Ming was born with the talent to play with the staff? How did that young man know? Big brother, did the little lunatic give this staff a name? The Titan giant ape roared happily. Yes. What's it called? At first it was called the Golden Cudgel, then it was changed to the Heaven-Raising Staff. You can choose. Heaven-Raising Staff, I like it. Heaven Do City. Shrek Academy. Grandmaster stood in his room, his gaze fixed on the distance outside the window. Next to him, Flender and Lu Erlong were present. Xiao Gang, these kids have all broken through to rank 40. It's time for us to bring them to obtain their 4th soul rings. Flender suddenly said, "Is there still no news of Xiao Feng? 5 months ago, Wang Feng went to the Great Star Do Forest alone to obtain his 4th soul ring. Only Grandmaster knew about this. But in these 5 months, it was naturally impossible to conceal the news of Xiao Feng's disappearance." Flender and Lu Erlong also asked. Tang San and the other Shrek 7 also asked. Grandmaster shook his head. "No, but Xiao Feng said that when the time comes, he will naturally return. He told us not to go find him." Hearing this, Lu Erlong suddenly stood up, frowning. "I said that as early as a month ago, Flender and I should have gone together. His 4th spirit ring is definitely also a 30,000-year one. You want him, a 40th rank spirit master, to defeat a 30,000-year spirit beast. How difficult is that?" His 3rd 30,000-year spirit ring, Xiao Feng said, was because the thorny mysterious underworld tortoise was already seriously injured and on the verge of death. Then it was threatened by the sword Douluo, and in the end he killed it. The 2nd was because he saved that spirit beast's child. That spirit beast willingly let him absorb it. How can he have such good luck this time? Flender listened to this and repeatedly frowned. Zhao Wuji also listened with some worry in his heart. At that time in the Great Star Do Forest, Xiao Feng was captured by that Titan giant ape, his life hanging by a thread, but he also obtained an enormous opportunity, obtaining a 30,000-year spirit ring. This matter they all knew. But this kind of opportunity, how could he encounter it again this time? "Believe in him," Grandmaster muttered. "It's not that I don't believe in him." Xiao Feng was able to withstand 2 of Dugu Bo's moves. His strength even surpasses that of a 50-something ranked battle spirit master, directly approaching a 60-something ranked battle spirit master. His body quality isn't inferior to Zhao Wuji's. Lu Erlong said, "But don't you know how many people there are in the Great Star Do Forest? If he wants to kill a 10,000-year spirit beast, that's not difficult. But what if he's surrounded? What if he's discovered by those 50 or 60,000-year, or even 70 or 80,000-year spirit beasts?" Hearing this, Grandmaster also frowned without saying anything. What Lu Erlong said was also the problem he was worried about. The Great Star Do Forest was still too dangerous. With Xiao Feng's strength, killing ordinary 10,000-year spirit beasts wasn't a problem. He had a chance to kill those under 20,000 years. 30,000 years was difficult. 40,000 years was extremely difficult. If he encountered 50 or 60,000 year spirit beasts, perhaps he wouldn't even be able to escape. 70 or 80,000 years, then he could only die. Also, you lied to those children, saying that Xiao Feng went to cultivate in seclusion for half a year. Now it's almost been half a year. Xiao Feng still hasn't returned. Flender said in a low voice, "How should you tell them?" This problem was even more serious. Right now Tang San and the others all thought that Wang Feng went to cultivate in seclusion. They were all waiting for him to return. Especially those 2 girls they often come to ask. One of them is still alright, she's too embarrassed to ask so often. That girl Rongrong comes to ask every day. I don't even know how to answer. Lu Erlong coughed a few times. Now it's almost been half a year, they've also all reached the 40th rank. We'll immediately bring them to obtain their 4th spirit rings. If they ask again, what should we do? The few of them were somewhat anxiously discussing. At this moment, a guard suddenly walked into the room. "Grandmaster, there's a letter for you." Hearing this, Grandmaster looked distracted, took the letter, and quickly finished reading it. After finishing reading, Grandmaster slowly folded the letter, his face revealing a trace of a smile. "All right, let the 7 of them gather. There's still half a month before the Advanced Spirit Master Grand Tournament begins. Do your best to let each of them obtain a spirit ring." Chapter 260. Hearing this, Flender and Lu Erlong both stared blankly. "Then what about Xiao Feng? You don't care?" Flender immediately stood in a low voice saying, "If you're like this, then I'll personally go to Star Do Great Forest. Erlong, you lead a team to protect those 7 children and obtain spirit rings." Lu Erlong shook her head. "Boss Fu, I'm stronger than you. Star Do Great Forest is a lot more dangerous than Sunset Forest. I'll go." Flender. "Alright, he's already back." Grandmaster smiled mysteriously. "Not only back, he's also obtained his 4th spirit ring. His rank has also risen to the 45th rank." Hearing this, the room became slightly quiet. Flender and Lu Erlong were also dumbfounded. "What did you say? 45th rank?" Flender sucked in a mouthful of cold air. "Is it that letter just now?" Lu Erlong glanced at Grandmaster, saying indifferently. Grandmaster nodded. "That's right, in the letter he told us that he's already back. By the way, I'll show it to you." Saying so, Grandmaster showed the letter to the 3. After reading it, the 3 were silent. "He really wants to do this?" Flender thought a moment, pushing up his glasses. "Tang San's group of 7 have improved a lot in this half a year." Lu Erlong smiled, somewhat charming. "I thought it was rather interesting. 45th rank. Inconceivable. Xiao Gang, how old is he this year?" 14. 14 years old, 45th rank. Flender sighed softly. "On the continent, there shouldn't be many that can reach this rank at this age, right? Mubai, that kid, currently also just reached the 45th rank. This is still relying on Lin Feng's special cultivation method. Otherwise, Mubai right now should still be around the 44th rank. The cultivation method, at first, was to train while cultivating, letting the body get used to training, while the mind was meditating and cultivating. Afterwards it was used in all aspects of life. Although the 7 still didn't learn it, it still had some effect. Right inside the letter, it didn't say he obtained a spirit ring?" Lu Erlong looked at the letter. "According to my calculations." At this moment, Grandmaster pondered a moment. "Lin Feng's spirit power is special. His body is also special. His rank might be several times harder than ordinary spirit master's rank 1. To be able to advance 5 ranks in half a year, that shows the quality of the spirit ring he obtained is very high. According to my estimation, it should be around 40,000 years." Hearing this, the 2's eyes stared like saucers. 40,000 years? He can't possibly kill it, right? Flender couldn't help saying, "A 40,000-year common spirit beast is equivalent to a 70-something rank spirit sage. If it was a bit stronger, even Zhao Wuji would be hammered to death." Zhao Wuji, Lin Feng should be able to kill around 30,000 years. Grandmaster glanced at the 2. 40,000 years, it requires a certain opportunity. It's not impossible. Kill 30,000 years? That's equivalent to a 70-something spirit sage. Lu Erlong said in amazement, but he was able to withstand Dugu Bo's palm at that time, and Zhao Wujiyu said, he can withstand 100% of Titan's oppressive might and not die. His body isn't worse than yours, maybe even stronger. It's possible to kill a 30,000-year spirit beast, but the difference in spirit power is too big. It shouldn't be that easy, right? What Lu Erlong knew was that Wang Feng's body quality was special, but his spirit power rank was not high after all. Could he cross so many ranks to kill a spirit beast? Killing a spirit beast and enduring the oppressive might of an attack were two different things. 40,000 years was too exaggerated. Even if she faced a 30,000-year spirit beast, it would be difficult to kill it. 40,000 years was even more difficult. Unless the three of them joined hands to use a spirit fusion ability, it would be relatively easier to kill. Spirit masters also have to rely on luck. Don't guess. When the time comes, just ask him face to face. Grandmaster said indifferently. The two nodded. Receiving the news of Wang Feng's safe return could be considered to be at ease. Not long after, in the plaza, Flender gathered Tang San's 7 people. In close to half a year, the 7 people all had some changes. On one hand, they broke through to the 40th rank. And the first to break through was Ning Rongrong. After her spirit changed, her cultivation speed also greatly increased, and according to her description, her body quality was also slowly improved by the star power in her spirit plus the remaining medicinal power. Compared to ordinary auxiliary system spirit masters, she was even more powerful. Compared to the same auxiliary system spirit master Oscar, she was a bit stronger. The second was Zhu Zhuqing. Similarly, after the spirit changed, her cultivation speed also greatly increased, plus being extremely diligent, the second to reach the 40th rank. The third was Oscar's 9th petal immortal orchid, plus the light golden sausage, gave him even faster cultivation speed. The three practically every few days reached the 40th rank one after another. Then there was Tang San, Ma Hongjun. Xiao Wu reached the 39th rank, still some distance from the 40th rank. Speaking of which, it was all thanks to the cultivation method that Wang Feng had provided. A year and a half. In a year and a half, it could be considered to have let the several people reach the 40th rank one after another more than a month ahead of time. But because Grandmasters said that after reaching the 40th rank, they could also continue to cultivate and accumulate spirit power, after breaking through they would advance even more, so everyone was in no hurry to obtain the 4th spirit ring. And today, finally it was time to obtain the 4th spirit ring. Only because this time one person was missing, the 7 people were all somewhat silent. Mainly they were all somewhat worried about Wang Feng. After all, it had already been half a year, not even a shadow had been seen. Even if Grandmaster said he had gone to cultivate, in this half a year there was not a single message. Today, besides Mubai, the others have also stabilized at the 40th rank. It's time to go to the Sunset Forest. Flender looked at the several people, slowly saying, "The reason why I want you 7 to go together is because I want you to undergo combat training. After all, it's going to be the Advanced Spirit Master Grand Competition. This time separately obtaining the 4th spirit ring for each of you is precisely to temper your team. It can also be considered the first stage of your graduation exam." Hearing this, Xiao Wu curiously asked, "Dean, how will we be considered to have passed? Do you want the 7 of us to hunt soul beasts?" Flender slightly nodded. "Correct, this time you need to rely on the team's strength to go hunt spirit beasts. Because the competition not long after requires your team to be together, this time is a tempering for you. You must hunt spirit beasts under the circumstances that the 3 of us don't act. This is one of the conditions for passing." This one immediately made everyone frown slightly. Apart from this, Flender looked at everyone, slightly smiling. "There is still a second condition. For this trip, we have invited a mysterious power. After you enter the Sunset Forest, you will undergo special training. This power will appear at any time and place to attack you. This is a test of your ability to adapt." Hearing this, everyone was flabbergasted, but they could also understand. "Dean, then roughly what is his strength?" Ma Hongjun curiously asked. "Roughly, a 6-ring Soul Emperor," Grandmaster suddenly said. Hearing this, everyone suddenly heaved a sigh of relief. A 6-ring Soul Emperor, with the 7 of them combined, it would not be difficult to deal with. To be precise, it was quite simple. "No problem," Ma Hongjun casually said. "A mere 6-ring Soul Emperor wants to attack us Shrek's 7 devils, it won't be that easy." Chapter 261. Hearing Ma Hongjuan's words, the Dean, Lu Erlong and Grandmaster looked at each other and saw the smile in each other's eyes. "Is there no request?" Dai Mubai asked curiously. "There is." Lu Erlong smiled and said, "He's wearing a mask on his face. If you can take off his mask, it'll be considered that you've finished the special training early and are allowed to pass." This request was considered normal. It was similar to an additional question. If you completed it, you'd get extra points. If you didn't, it was fine too. Flender looked at the 7 of them and continued, "All right, this information is enough. As for the other information, You'll have to explore it on your own after entering the setting sun forest. Everyone nodded. But it was impossible to give you all the information about this six-ring soul emperor. After all, it was impossible for you to understand the enemy so thoroughly. Grandmaster, when exactly will Brother Feng return? At this moment, Tang San suddenly asked. He's been cultivating in seclusion for half a year. The time should be up soon, right? Hearing this, the few of them suddenly became quiet. Ning Rongrong had long since impatiently looked at the three of them. She had wanted to ask just now. He'd just cultivated in seclusion for half a year. Not long after returning to the academy, he was cultivating again? The others also looked at Grandmaster with equal curiosity. He said he'd be back in a few days. Grandmaster glanced at them. Probably, when you've obtained your spirit rings and returned to the academy, he should be back. Flender to the side also smiled and said, perhaps, when you return, you'll just happen to meet him. Grandmaster's words and Flender's Dean's words made everyone's hearts ease. Really? Dean? Ning Rongrong's original mood was still somewhat poor, but hearing the two's words, she was immediately brimming with motivation, her face glowing. Zhu Zhuqing nodded slightly, her eyes holding a somewhat expectant expression. When we return we'll be able to see Feng Ji, he. I don't know where he went this half-year? Xiao Wu flung Tang San's newly combed scorpion braid. Without Captain, I somewhat miss the taste of roasted sausages. Oscar made a slurping sound, apparently somewhat nostalgic. Monster Captain returning this time. He should have obtained his fourth spirit ring, right? Ma Hongjun pinched his chin, pondering. After we return, we should also obtain our fourth spirit ring, one by one stepping into the spirit ancestor realm. I don't know when we'll still be able to beat him. I haven't fought Captain for a long time. I still somewhat miss it. Dai Mubai clenched his fist. Seeing everyone's interest suddenly rise, Flender nodded slightly, saying, Good, Tang San, as the team commander this time, you lead the team. Tang San nodded, immediately beginning to assign everyone tasks. This time going to the Sunset Forest to obtain their fourth spirit ring, because everyone had taken immortal herbs, the quality of their bodies had been greatly enhanced. They could consider surpassing the limit, obtaining a spirit ring of around 5,000 years. When the time came, according to the spirit beast's age and characteristics, they could again select and absorb it. Because of the additional special training, we must be careful. Tang San pondered, Little Ao, your mushroom sausages must be prepared for everyone, just in case. First of all about spirit beasts, if we encounter a spirit beast, then our 7-person combination is very simple. Me, Mubai, and Xiao Wu will be in charge of the main attack, Zhu Qing will be in charge of restraining it, Hong Jun you are in charge of protecting Rongrong and Oscar in the rear, and also carry out long-range attack. And as for spirit beasts, remember by all means that you can't directly kill them, otherwise we won't be able to choose. If necessary, Oscar, your roasted sausages can also be given to spirit beasts on the verge of death. Everyone nodded slightly. And the other point is related to this 6-ring Spirit Emperor's special training. Tang San looked at everyone, somewhat seriously saying, since it's a friend invited by Grandmaster, then presumably it's not simple. He might attack us at any time, it might be when we're sleeping, when we're hurrying, when we're eating and resting, and even more likely when we're hunting spirit beasts. And as for a 6-ring Spirit Emperor, we alone are unable to defeat him, plus our understanding of him is very little. But this 6-ring Spirit Emperor might understand us very well through Grandmaster, but we know nothing, therefore we have to be extremely careful. Hongjun, you can't be careless. Ma Hongjun giggled a few times, saying, Third brother, you can even defeat the 58th rank Tai Nua. You feel there's no need to be so serious, right? Tang San shook his head. It's not that simple. A 60-something rank Spirit Emperor, even if I used hidden weapons I still wouldn't be able to defeat him. Also, I said, What if that six-ring spirit emperor understands us very well? With my hidden weapons, if he's prepared, we won't have any chance of victory. Hearing this, the smile on Ma Hongjuan's face faded slightly. What Tang San said was very reasonable. What if the other side understood them very well through Grandmaster? The 7 people didn't know anything. After entering the Sunset Forest, we have to be extremely careful in everything. No matter when, we can't act alone. Tang San looked at the 7 people. At least we have to carry out private activities in groups of 2. Me and Xiao Wu in one group, Little Ao, Hongjun, Mubai Yu 3 in one group, Zhu Qing and Rongrong in another. Fine. Everyone agreed. After discussing it, the party began to set out for the Sunset Forest. Xiao Gang, you say, can they take off his mask? Flender looked at the 7 people, speaking in a low voice. A bit difficult, let's see the opportunity. It's been almost half a year, even though their strength has increased. Grandmaster muttered to himself a moment, then slowly said, but Xiao Feng's strength should increase even faster. I think, their only chance to take off the mask. Lu Erlong, on the other hand, looked at one of the figures with deep meaning. Perhaps it's on her. The Sunset Forest was very close to Heaven Do City. This was also a place where Heaven Do City and the several nearby cities hunted spirit beasts. Different from Spirit Hunting Forest, which was controlled by people, even though the Sunset Forest didn't have spirit beasts as formidable as the Titan giant ape, there were still quite a few 10,000-year spirit beasts that weren't easy to deal with. Fortunately, compared to Star Do Great Forest, this Sunset Forest's vegetation wasn't as dense because of the terrain. The Sunset Forest feels a bit weaker than Star Do Great Forest. The 7 of them hadn't encountered many thousand-year spirit beasts along the way, and compared to Star Do Great Forest, they were still a bit weaker. Furthermore, the Sunset Forest's area wasn't as large as Star Do Great Forest, and in addition to the many surrounding cities, the spirit beasts were hunted wantonly. Right now, the quality of the spirit beasts here was naturally much lower than in Star Do Great Forest. At this time, the sound of fighting suddenly came from afar. There seems to be a fight in front? Dai Mubai, who was leading the way, immediately sensed it. At the same time, Tang San also immediately sensed it. At this time, Zhu Zhuqing landed on a large tree to the side with a swoosh, her cold voice slowly transmitted over. It's people from another academy in Heaven Do City. They're wearing the academy's uniform, and 2 men and 1 woman are currently hunting a spirit beast. The situation doesn't seem too good. She was in charge of scouting, and the moment she heard the sound, she immediately went to investigate. Go take a look? Zhu Zhuqing said. Tang San muttered to himself a moment, saying, let's take a look, we can't act rashly. End of this chapter. Chapter 262. The others also nodded in agreement. Not long after, the few of them approached the location of the battle. Just 2 men and 1 woman, fighting an enormous spirit-eating flower. Only right now, the 2 men had already fallen to one side, leaving only 1 woman, fleeing in all directions. The 3 wore the Academy's uniform. It's a 1,000-year or so spirit-eating flower. Tang San glanced at it, saying, this kind of spirit beast is comparatively difficult to deal with, but it's also quite powerful. Unfortunately, it's a 1,000-year one. If it was 3,000 or 4,000, it should be more suitable for Zhuqing. Because this kind of spirit-eating flower has a characteristic, as long as it causes the opponent a wound, it can increase the opponent's spirit power consumption. Extremely troublesome. Everyone suddenly understood. As a spirit beast encyclopedia, Tang San explained it clearly. This girl seems pretty. Suddenly, Ma Hongjuan's eyes brightened, looking at that woman fleeing in all directions. This woman's face was like snow, long hair fluttering. Even though she was fleeing right now, her expression somewhat nervous, it couldn't conceal her gentle and moving temperament. Dai Mubai and Oscar's eyes also brightened. Third brother, let's attack. Ning Rongrong said, this spirit-eating flower isn't strong, with Fatty Ma's phoenix, it's the most effective against this kind of plant spirit beast. Moreover, this spirit-eating flower is also injured right now, I'll add Fatty's status, we should be able to defeat it in one move. Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuqing also nodded. Tang San sized up that woman for a moment, not discovering any problems, then said to Ma Hongjun with a smile, Fatty, I'll give you a chance to be a hero and save the beauty. Ma Hongjun had long since been impatient from waiting. After Ning Rongrong added his status, Ma Hongjun directly rushed out. Phoenix possession. Ma Hongjun jumped, his mind incomparably excited, in his heart saying, I didn't expect that I, Ma Hongjun, would also have the chance to be a hero and save the beauty. Last time was still in Suatua City, and my strength was inferior. This time, I, Ma Hongjun, will finally have the chance to display my awe-inspiring might. He was like a deity descending to earth, consecutively using his third spirit ability, Phoenix Heaven Ascension, flying into the air, then spitting out a phoenix fire wire from the air, directly falling on that spirit-eating flower. Finally confidently landing in front of the woman. Many, many thanks, the woman whispered. Hearing this voice, Ma Hongjuan's bones went limp. He turned around, intending to properly get to know her. However, the moment he turned around, what greeted him was not the woman's soft and beautiful cheeks, but a huge fist. Bang! Under the fist, Ma Hongjun was like a spinning top, flying backwards several times in the air, smashing into a distant tree. Everyone was stunned. At this time, they saw the woman looking at Tang San and the others in the distance, smiling and saying, It's you guys, right? Not even a little vigilance. If I was the enemy today, this fatty would have already died. Next time, I won't let you off so easily. Her voice was low, elegant, sounding slightly neutral. Finished speaking, the woman suddenly disappeared on the spot, as if a gust of wind had blown past, directly causing everyone to be shocked again and again. Did you sense it? Dai Mubai's whole body shrank, looking at Tang San. No, too fast, without a sound. Tang San said in a low voice. What's going on? Ning Rongrong was still a little confused, as if thinking of something. She suddenly said, Could it be that she's that six-ringed spirit emperor? Tang San nodded his head with a heavy expression. Everyone was slightly startled, except for Tang San. The others had somewhat forgotten. Because this group of people walked over, they did not encounter any attacks. They did not expect that they would actually meet like this. The 6 people walked to Ma Hongjuan's side. Just now it was clearly just a punch, but now Ma Hongjuan's whole face was swollen. After a while, he slowly woke up. What's going on? Ma Hongjun felt that his brain was still a little mushy, looking at everyone. Tang San said in a low voice, Just now, it should be a trap. That 6-ringed spirit emperor appeared. It's that woman just now. She deliberately tested us, but we did not notice. We also did not expect that she would actually use this kind of method. What? The 6-ringed spirit emperor is a woman? Ma Hongjun also remembered, and could not help but wail. Why is it always me who suffers? She disguised herself too well. Tang San thought for a moment and said in a low voice, I'm afraid that this trip will not be so easy. Moreover, I feel that she may not be a woman, but deliberately disguised. Otherwise Grandmaster and the Dean would not lift the mask as the goal to pass the test. Oscar helped Ma Hongjun up and said a few times, This 6-ringed spirit emperor is not simple. We have to increase our vigilance. I don't know what the situation will be if we meet her face to face. Tang San looked at Ma Hongjun and sighed. He used our kindness, which normal person would be indifferent to a beautiful woman being chased by a soul beast. It would be fine if he did not have the strength, but to us it is very easy. Moreover, I'm afraid that he knows Fatty very well. He knows that your soul skill is the best at restraining plant-type soul skills, and in addition, you are very lecherous. Seeing this kind of situation, he will definitely want to be the hero to save the beauty, and be the first to stand out. We are still too relaxed. Everyone nodded. Continue. This time, we must not casually come into contact with others. The 7 of them continued forward. Behind them, Grandmaster, Flender, and Lu Erlong followed. That is Xiaofeng. Lu Erlong said in astonishment. This disguise is too good, isn't it? I couldn't see it. Grandmaster thought, Xiaofeng's disguise technique is not ordinary. You didn't discover it, those 7 children most likely didn't discover it. Ma Hongjun, this child, still can't change his temperament. I hope this time we can teach him a good lesson. Flender laughed heartily a few times, saying, Let's go, let's keep up. The color of the sky gradually darkened. Nightfall. We should find a place to set up the tent. Today should end here. Tang San said, finished speaking, glancing at Grandmaster's trio behind him. In the night of the sunset forest, because the vegetation was not dense, one could see a sky full of stars. Wah, quickly come look, so many beautiful little bugs. At this moment, Xiao Wu's somewhat excited voice reached them. Tang San and the other men looked to the side, only to see in the distance suddenly floating over many little bugs emitting rainbow light. Little San, these bugs, will they be dangerous? Dai Mubai somewhat vigilantly watched. These are rainbow light bugs. Tang San shook his head, saying, They belong to the lowest class of spirit beasts, very rarely seen in 100 years, for the most part only 10 years, no danger, in the night sky will emit rainbow light. Only those spirit masters with ordinary spirits will absorb this kind, generally used for household lighting. Even in big cities very few use this kind, only in relatively remote villages will spirit masters use this kind. Hearing Tang San's explanation, the several people also suddenly understood, one after another nodding. So beautiful! Ning Rongrong used her hand to catch a rainbow light bug, her eyes sparkling. The others also curiously caught one after another. End of this chapter. It was precisely Flender's trio rushing over. However, the figure had already disappeared. The 7 of you, are you all right? Zhao Wuji looked at them, and couldn't help but laugh. The 7 people were currently lying on the ground, 7 or 8 in a row, their bodies all imprinted with a footprint. Bloody noses and swollen faces, their complexions somewhat flushed. Tang San was the first to wake up, his expression even heavier, rubbing the back of his shoulder, feeling that it was still somewhat painful. Not long after, the rest of the people also slowly crawled up from the ground. Brother, what was the situation just now? Xiao Wu rubbed her lower abdomen. She had just received a kick, and was directly sent flying. Ning Rongrong also crawled up, her head and face covered in dirt. There was also a footprint on her butt. Zhu Zhuqin was still alright, there was a footprint on her lower back. Fuck. I didn't even have time to react just now, I felt like I was sent flying by an enormous force. Ma Hongjun rubbed his right shoulder. Oscar and Dai Mubai also stood up, their complexions somewhat unsightly. That ice-cold mocking laugh just now, they had also heard very clearly. It's the rainbow light bug and the green firefly. Tang San coughed a few times, sighed in a low voice and said, These 2 are very weak soul beasts, most of them are only a few years old or more than 10 years old, it is generally difficult to distinguish. They are very weak, even ordinary people can kill them. Either one of them is not dangerous. But if the 2 of them come into contact, there will be a violent burst of light fog, causing us to temporarily lose our vision. If we do not use our martial souls in advance, it is very easy to be hit. In this light fog, there will also be an extremely unpleasant gas erupting. It will affect people's mind. This is a very unorthodox soul beast knowledge. If Oscar did not ask me in advance just now, I would not have thought of it. After listening to this, everyone became silent. These two kinds of insects are very beautiful at night. Just now that the six-ringed Soul Emperor knew that Xiao Wu and the three of you girls will definitely collect these insects. Tang San sighed and said, once collected, the two kinds of insects will come into contact, and there will definitely be a burst of light fog. We were very close to each other. In an instant we were all hit. He waited for an opportunity, and almost without using any strength, he knocked all of us down. If it was an enemy just now, we would all be dead. Hearing this, everyone felt a chill in their hearts. This six-ringed Soul Emperor is not only terrifyingly strong, but he also has all kinds of trap. Tang San also felt a slight chill in his heart. In fact, in that kind of situation just now, we still have the ability to fight back, but he is really too fast. I am afraid that he is an agility-type Soul Master. Just now, my eyes were open, but I did not clearly see his appearance. I can only hear his voice. After listening to Tang San, the other 6 people suddenly felt a little afraid. Grandmaster, who is this friend of yours? So powerful? Ma Hongjun rubbed his face. He still had not recovered from that punch in the afternoon. Old injuries had not yet healed, but new injuries were added. Especially these injuries, they were not fatal, but they were painful. What? Now you know how powerful he is? Flender could not help but laugh. Before we came, who said, a mere 6-ringed Soul Emperor wants to attack us Shrek's 7 devils, it is not so easy. Ma Hongjun, the few of you, this is already the 2nd time. Lu Erlong shook her head, but you don't even know his appearance. His build, his clothes, his specific strength, you all know nothing. If you want to remove his mask in this kind of state, it should be possible in your dreams. Grandmaster also looked at them and said, you all can apply to lower the requirements. Lowering the requirement of removing the mask to seeing the other party's appearance, or forcing the other party to use spirit abilities, you all will be considered to have passed the test. Everyone was silent. Before coming, everyone was full of confidence. Although a 6-ringed Soul Emperor was powerful, they were still a 40th rank team, and even a gold fighter spirit team. Now their strength had greatly increased. How could they be afraid of a 6-ringed Soul Emperor? But they did not expect that in 2 confrontations, they did not even see the other party's appearance. How could they still play like this? Alright, rest first. You guys arrange for your night watch. Flender coughed a few times, and walked into the tent with Zhao Wuji. I and Mubai will keep watch. Tang San's expression was incomparably grave. One person might not be enough. When it's time to rotate, 2 people will also form a team. This 6-ringed Soul Emperor is much more difficult to deal with than those 10,000-year spirit beasts. We can't continue like this. End of this chapter. Chapter 264. Why didn't he attack us openly? Ma Hongjun couldn't help muttering. There were 7 of us. Would he be stupid enough to attack you openly? Xiao Wu glared at Ma Hongjun. Ma Hongjun laughed awkwardly and walked into the tent. Oscar also walked into the tent after handing the mushroom sausages and roasted sausages to the 2. Go, I'll go too, Xiao Wu said in a low voice. No need. Xiao Wu, you go sleep. Tang San shook his head. This 6-ring Spirit Emperor is too powerful. Conserve your energy. On this trip, we won't only have to face Spirit Beast. This 6-ring Spirit Emperor might be our greatest enemy. Xiao Wu made an O sound and walked into the tent. I feel a bit defeated. Dai Mubai stood beside the bonfire. I feel like we're already very strong. In the 2 confrontations, even though the opponent is in the dark, we seem to be completely under his control. The enemy is in the dark and we're in the light. He's Grandmaster's friend. His understanding of spirit beasts and spirits is definitely stronger than ours. Tang San pondered and said, we can only force him to fight us directly. Only then will we have a chance to pass the special training test. If only I reacted in time. Dai Mubai patted Tang San's shoulder and said, "Don't be so unduly humble. If I had arranged it, the situation would have been even worse." Tang San nodded slightly and suddenly thought, if Brother Feng was here, I wonder what he would do? Dai Mubai shook his head. How would he know? But presumably, he wouldn't be so passive, right? With that monster captain's ability, at this time, in the other tent. This brat is really powerful. Zhao Wuji said in a low voice. The 7 of them will probably suffer a big blow this time, right? Speaking of which, we also didn't see what he looked like. Doesn't this mean that his attack and disguise are very good? Flender said with a smile. The two talked. At this time, they suddenly heard a burst of rustling sound coming from the side. Erlong, don't do this, I don't care. I've already waited for more than 10 years. You can get my body, but you can't get my heart. We're brother and sister, you can't do this. I don't care. I've held it in for more than 10 years. I don't want your heart, I want your body. Xiao Gang, stop torturing us. It's already been so many years, can't you release your heart? Zhao Wuji and Flender were speechless. Zhao Wuji, turn off your listening ability. Flender leaned towards Zhao Wuji and then tapped on his body a few times. He didn't want to listen to a live erotic show. Flender, what kind of rotten idea is this? Zhao Wuji also tapped on his body a few times and quickly turned off his listening ability. In the past 6 months, Grandmaster and Lu Erlong could only be said to have barely recovered their relationship, but the two of them had never been intimate. Grandmaster had always been avoiding her, but Lu Erlong couldn't find an opportunity. That was why tonight's scene happened. Erlong, let me go. No. If you don't let me go, how can I turn around to look at you? Fortunately, at this moment, Flender and Zhao Wuji had both turned off their listening ability, so they couldn't see or hear anything. Otherwise, the current posture of the two of them would be unusually ambiguous. Just at this moment, a loud roar suddenly came from outside. There's a spirit beast attack. Everyone be careful. In an instant, the room quieted down. Outside, Tang San's expression was solemn as he looked at the huge spirit beast in front of him. It looked like a scorpion, and its whole body was snow white. The scorpion tail on its back had no less than 9 joints sticking up high, emitting an intense cold light. At the end of the tail was a fiery red stinger. Almost at the first moment, Dai Mubai was the first to fight, facing the flames spurted out by the stinger. King of Earth! I didn't expect to actually encounter this kind of spirit beast tonight. Tang San said in a low voice. At this moment, the few people from Shrek also quickly walked out of the tent, looking at this spirit beast one after another. Go? What's going on? This shouldn't be the doing of that 6-ring spirit emperor again, right? Xiao Wu walked to Tang San's side and asked. Tang San shook his head and said, I don't know. What kind of spirit beast is this? Ma Hongjun glanced at it. Should we go? King of Earth, it's a kind of fire attribute high-grade spirit beast. This King of Earth is roughly around 4,500 years old, quite suitable for you, Fatty Ma. Tang San thought for a moment and said, Let's go, that 6-ring spirit emperor shouldn't attack us today. Everyone nodded. Just when the few of them were about to attack. At this moment, from another tent, a figure directly rushed out and rushed towards that King of Earth. That manic figure almost instantly made the few of them stop in their tracks. It's Teacher Erlong. Xiao Wu said in surprise, Why do I feel something's not right? The few of them looked over and their hearts trembled slightly. They only saw that the current Lu Erlong, although her clothes were somewhat messy, her entire person seemed to have gone crazy, directly rushing towards that King of Earth. Her face still had a bit of craziness, making the few of them tremble with fear. The 7 spirit rings on her body suddenly lit up, and then a fire dragon directly appeared from her body, densely packed scales instantly covering her whole body, Her mouth roared out a dragon's roar, startling this pitch-black night sky. Spirit Avatar? The few of them were also stunned. They didn't expect that Lu Erlong would actually use Spirit Avatar to deal with a 4,000-year King of Earth? Isn't it too terrifying? Dai Mubai was directly sent flying by a pillar of fire from the King of Earth, right now looking at Lu Erlong, who was using Spirit Avatar, directly rushing towards the King of Earth. His face was completely lifeless. Using Spirit Avatar, Lu Erlong could actually be said to be rising step by step. Immediately after, everyone's hearts were chilled looking at this scene. The King of Gaia was directly crushed by Lu Erlong, who had unleashed her martial soul true body. As the more than 4,000-year King of Earth, its strength wasn't weak. Even if it encountered Tang San and the others, it wouldn't be difficult to escape. Unfortunately, he was targeted by Lu Erlong, who had activated her martial soul true body. If it had 10 or 20,000 years, it might still be able to fight, and even if it couldn't win, it could still escape. Unfortunately, it was only 4,000 years. In Lu Erlong's hands, its scorpion tail was grabbed, and like a windmill, it smashed on the ground. It was also at this time. Suddenly, waves of pink mist began to spread all around. This mist came incomparably fast. In an instant it covered the entire camp. You guys be careful, this mist might be poisonous. Flender and Zhao Wuji, who had just come out of the tent, shouted, the two of them feeling that the situation wasn't right. Quickly using spirit power to shake off the pink poison mist in the surroundings. But very quickly, this pink poison mist once again converged. This pink mist was somewhat fragrant and sweet, making people have a kind of immersed feeling. Even their blood flow sped up somewhat. Careful! This isn't ordinary miasma. Oscar, detoxifying sausages. Tang San's purple demon eye scanned the surroundings, his heart slightly alarmed. When entering the forest, in order to prevent the miasma in the forest, he had given them several miasma pills that could prevent miasma, but it couldn't block this pink mist. It seemed that this giant Earth King wasn't acting alone, but rather had companions. Not long after, under the surveillance of Purple Demon Eye, Tang San saw pink scorpions in the distance, using their tails to emit pink mist. Chapter 265. It's a soul beast. Looks like it's not just the king of the earth. Teacher Lu, be careful, don't breathe in this mist. The blue-silver grass in Tang San's hands spread out in all directions, sensing the number of soul beasts in the surroundings. He was secretly alarmed. These two types of soul beasts seemed to be working together, so it wasn't a coincidence. Could it be that the six-ringed Soul Emperor was behind this? Everyone, activate your martial souls. That six-ringed Soul Emperor is likely to come. Tang San warned. Needless to say, the rest of them had already activated their martial souls. Evidently, they were already fearful and on high alert. Seeing this, Tang San quickly took out the delicate silk immortal treasure that he had plucked from the ice and fire yin-yang well. The light purple stamen was like a brick, emitting a bright luster. Almost at the moment it appeared, it emitted a purple stream of air, quickly driving away the pink mist in the surroundings. This item could defend against poison, and was the nemesis of this pink mist. Everyone, don't leave this area. Dean, Grandmaster, Teacher Zhao, come here too. Tang San said in a low voice, this pink mist is caused by a soul beast. I didn't expect that the king of the earth wasn't alone, it probably still has companions. Grandmaster, tell Teacher Lu to come back quickly. If she continues fighting like this, if she absorbs the mist, I'm afraid she'll go crazy. Grandmaster frowned slightly, shouting towards Lu Erlong, who was in the middle of tyrannizing the king of the earth. Erlong, come back! Right now the already tyrannized king of the earth still had a few breaths left, and its body could still be considered intact. If it had been a while longer, he reckoned his whole body would have been torn apart by Lu Erlong. Lu Erlong, hearing these words, coldly snorted, looking at the king of the earth that still hadn't died. she returned to Grandmaster's side. Only her expression was extremely ugly, seething with anger. Grandmaster, this friend of yours from the Spirit Emperor can even control spirit beasts? Ma Hongjun wiped his cold sweat. Grandmaster shook his head and said, Not necessarily, it's possible that the two spirit beasts came over themselves. Hearing these words, Lu Erlong's expression worsened somewhat. Teacher, the one releasing the pink mist, should be the Pink Maiden. At this time, Tang San said in a low voice. Pink Maiden, what is that? Xiao Wu curiously asked. It's also a kind of scorpion-type spirit beast, similar to this king of the earth, classified as a poisonous spirit beast, but its toxicity is very weak. Generally its whole body is pink, that's why it's called the Pink Queen. Grandmaster frowned at the side and said, So much mist, I'm afraid it can't be one Pink Maiden. Yes, there's more than one. Tang San looked around. I'm afraid there's more than 1,000, I didn't expect them to actually appear here. But I didn't sense the aura of that six-ring spirit emperor, I don't know if this is his doing? Hearing the number of more than 1,000, the few of them were stunned. If it's really him, I'll have to teach you a lesson later. Lu Erlong's expression was somewhat ugly. She thought to herself, if it's really Lin Feng commanding these spirit beasts and interrupting my good deed, whether it's a coincidence or not, I'll beat you up. If it's more than 1,000, then I'm afraid the Pink Queen is among them. Grandmaster was silent for a moment, then said, Only this kind of Pink Queen that mutated from a Pink Maiden can control so many Pink Maidens. Pink Queens are usually at least 3,000 years old, and also need to swallow 100 of their own race to evolve and mutate. According to my guess, I'm afraid this Pink Queen and this giant Earth King are a pair, that's why they attacked together. Tang San pondered. This kind of poisonous mist released by the Pink Queen has the effect of making people go crazy. This kind of spirit beast is considered a very good match for Oscar. And that giant Earth King, to Fatty, should be the most suitable. That giant Earth King's vitality is extremely tenacious, a pity. Grandmaster sighed. I'm afraid this Pink Queen wants to create an opportunity for the giant Earth King to escape. I reckon it doesn't want to attack us. Hearing this, everyone suddenly understood. I'll rush out and slaughter these two spirit beasts. Oscar, give me 2 detoxifying sausages. Lu Erlong said coldly, without the slightest fear. Right now it's night, this poisonous mist covers such a large area, wanting to find the Pink Queen in a short time is not so easy. If we encounter other spirit beasts, it'll be even more troublesome. Tang San suggested, Teacher Lu, it's better to wait for daybreak. The Pink Queen only wants to cover the giant Earth King's escape. It won't take the initiative to attack us. Moving at night was the most dangerous, because they didn't know what kind of spirit ring they would encounter, plus everyone's vision was limited. If they were entangled, it would be extremely troublesome. In addition, everyone had been hurrying for a day and were also exhausted. No, I can't let this beast leave like this. If we wait until daybreak, we basically won't be able to find it. Lu Erlong said furiously. Dai Mubai and the others watching were alarmed. Not knowing what had happened, Lu Erlong unexpectedly flew into such a violent rage. What Little San says makes sense. Erlong, don't let your emotions affect your decisions, Grandmaster said in a low voice. Even if it's not dangerous to the 3 of us, what if something happens to the 7 of them? I'll go alone. Lu Erlong glanced at Oscar. Oscar was quick-witted, not knowing whether he should make small sausages for Lu Erlong or not. Erlong, what Xiao Geng says makes sense. Flender coughed several times, also dissuading. The sausages won't last very long. If you go alone to chase, you will inhale this fog for a long time. It will also be extremely uncomfortable. If you encounter other spirit beasts, it will be very dangerous. If we are attacked by other 10,000-year spirit beasts here, the situation will be even worse. These spirit beasts were also quite crafty, not acting alone, but rather together. Lu Erlong didn't speak. Just at this time, suddenly, the pink poison fog, with a speed visible to the naked eye, rapidly dispersed. Everyone was immediately shocked. Immediately afterwards, they saw a figure slowly walking over from the distance. His entire body was draped in a white robe, wearing a black mask. His physique was well proportioned. Most importantly, in his hands, he was carrying two incomparably large spirit beasts, completely incompatible with his physique. Seeing this, everyone was somewhat stunned. He just walked out from the shadows, and the two spirit beasts in his hands, everyone could also see them very clearly. One of them was precisely the giant Earth King that had just been enraged by Lu Erlong, but managed to escape in time, and the other was completely pink, about the same size as the giant Earth King. Its entire body seemed to be carved from crystal, and on its head were 6 eyes. It was precisely the Pink Queen. The fading pink poison fog was also precisely emitted by her. However, these two spirit beasts were not dead, just left with a single breath. This mysterious white-robed, black-masked figure walked to about 10 meters away from them and abruptly placed the two spirit beasts in his hands on the ground, letting out a dull thud when they hit the ground. "No need to chase, I've brought these two spirit beasts back for you. Little fatty, didn't you want Tang Tang to really attack you?" That figure let out a cold, mocking laugh. "I'll give you a chance now. The 7 of you, before you fall, if you can touch the corner of my robe, I'll give these two spirit beasts to you." Hearing this, everyone was instantly stunned. They did not expect that these two spirit beasts, unknowingly, had already been captured by someone. "It's that 6-ringed Soul Emperor." Tang San's words instantly caused the other 6 to return to their senses. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.